One of you guys will have to take the reins. That's
I don't know how the first.
the vice president is not here either. He was here earlier, but.
Steve, how do we do it? The chair, the vice chair, that way.
The little one in the bottom of that. It's on the side. Yep, there you go.
Good afternoon, everybody.
It's not enough.
Yeah, it is not enough. Welcome. We're waiting on our chairman and our vice chair, so I'll fill in for the time being, and we'll turn it over to them when they come over. Becky, if you want to, do we do a roll call in the beginning? Would you like to do a roll call?
Assistant District, for Primero's office.
Present.
District Attorney, Treasurer's office. C3,
Here.
C5,
Present.
and C4. C1,
Here.
and for the record, C2 is not here yet. And the interim manager. Treasurer.
So our vice chair is here. I'm going to turn over the gavel and the mic to yourself.
Is that Mike?
Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Chairman is here.
Chair is present.
Very much.
Mike?
No, that fan thing with the lights. It's okay, we'll move on.
Good evening, everyone. We already opened our meeting. Good afternoon. Okay, can we all please stand, cover your, take off your covering for a prayer, please? Please bow your heads and close your eyes. Dear Father, thank you for bringing us all here today for our annual Landowners meeting. Let's have a joyful day and a joyful meeting. In your name, amen. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. It's behind you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You all can have your seat. Okay. Can we have, do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions of the agenda?
Chair, I've got a couple if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
One I want to put on there is to set up summer leave for my kids.
This is the annual landowners.
Oh, understood, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, that's why I said the second page. Is it? Oh, mine has the regular, I apologize. So, yes.
Okay, I apologize, everyone. I had the wrong agenda form. We're going to go into 2, election of landowner, meeting chair, and secretary. Steve, that's usually what John did.
Chair, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
With the election that just happened, should we wait to see what happened before we do this?
Yeah, usually that's after we know what happened with the election. But it's item 2.
That would be in the regular meeting.
Yeah.
That would be in our next, after this annual landowners meeting, then it'll change into the regular meeting, and that's where we'll know.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, it's unusual because we had the election.
Yeah.
I think last year we didn't have the election, so I think Becky's got it.
Okay. Alrighty. Stephen, are you going to do that,
establishment.
establish?
Yeah, so if I could just, I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do the pay.
Okay.
So at this time, if I could just get a show of hands of everyone that is a landowner in this group. All landowners, please raise your hand. Keep them up there. Yeah, okay. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Can we have a motion to approve of the agenda meeting? Motion by Santana, do we have a second? Second by Self. Let's see, do we have public comments at this time? No? All right, can we have the district engineer's annual report?
The district engineer was not able to make it, and his assistant wasn't either. If you go to where it says engineer, he put the annual report in there. I made copies for the public, for them to also have. They normally go over the permit of the D-134 and how it's permitted through South Florida Water Management District. And we go into the retention area of our reservoir, the dike, the structure, our roadways, the roadsides, as well as canals and lakes. Our building facilities, and then the recreation. So, I mean, the information is there, everybody can read through it. Nothing's really changed.
Same information.
Same information, yeah. Nothing's really changed unless it's like something that, you know. That as far as engineering, but that's really it.
Alrighty, we're gonna move forward. Can we have we need a motion for that? No, okay. We're gonna move forward, present annual audit, from the district, treasurer.
So Marie's stepping in for, John Boyd. So, and this is his assistant.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
No? Can you guys hear back there? Very little. Okay. Can you pass the microphone?
Can you hear me? Is that better? Okay. An audit was performed for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023 by the certified public accounting firm Tuscan and Company, PA. Their opinion was that the financial statements were presented fairly in all material respects. This is considered a clean opinion. The results of operations for the year ended September 30th, 2023 were revenues $2,869,924 less than expenditures of $3,466,751, resulting in a loss of $596,827. This was the year before the $100 per acre tax increase went into effect. The fund balance at the end of September 30th, 2023 was $1,219,267. This is a summary of the annual audit as presented. That's it, unless somebody has some questions. So they've already seen it.
They see it, we
Yeah.
just, we need to ask for it to be. Come down and move forward.
Any questions from the board? Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. At this time, we're going to have the landowners vote on whether or not the board should be compensated for their time to attend the meetings. Florida law allows for them to be compensated. We have set that amount at $50 historically. The way we're going to do this is I'm going to ask you to do a show of hands again, and I'm going to ask that if you are in agreement with having the board be compensated for their time, keep your hand up. If you are not in agreement, put your hand down. So at this time, all landowners, including any that are on the board, please raise your hand. Lovely. Thank you. And anybody who is not in agreement with the board being compensated for their time to attend, please put your hand up. Okay, that passes.
Thank you all. At this time, we're going to adjourn, if there's no further questions regarding our landowners meeting, I'm going to adjourn our landowners meeting for a 5-minute recess. Okay, we're gonna go into our regular meeting. Everyone's ready? Can I have a motion to approve of this agenda of our regular meeting? Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just to add
Yeah, go-
about the electing the new chair and vice chair.
Before we go into our regular meeting for the month of October, if you have anything that you would like to talk about regarding our regular meeting that's on there, please put it in the public comment section so that when we go to the public comment section, the board can hear what you have to say. Oh, and then if there's something that you want to propose or approve on your behalf as a landowner and a resident here, put it in the comment section if you're for it or against it. So when we read your comment, the board understands where your view is on the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to ask for an amendment to the agenda so that we have an item, I would call it item 0, so it happens first, which calls for the selection of a board chair and vice chair for this term.
We're gonna vote up.
So we'd have to approve the amended agenda, and then you guys take it away.
Thank you, Stephen. So can I have,
There's additions, are there any additions that you should they have it now, so I think Mr. Mata had,
he has some, that he wants to add to the agenda. So can we have a motion to add anything that we have to add onto the agenda or deletion?
I have a couple things.
Go ahead.
One would be to set up a soccer league, 4 months ago, 1 by months ago. And then the second thing is a position that we've had vacant probably for a year now. I'd like to see if we turn that position to a full-time working swells and bidding. That primary job, primary is to work 100% on swells and bidding. Going forward. So as of right now, Vicky is coming in for the assistant tutoring of the manager, correct? So that position that she previously filled is been open for a year. Not the only thing I mean, not saying pick up position, but use that position or use that FTE to convert it into a person that will work on the skills.
Okay, we had the 2 additions, one from Stephen who's filling in for John, our attorney, and then we had an additional 2 additions added for Supervisor Mata. Can we have a motion to approve of this meeting agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Santana. Do we have a second? Second by Roberto.
So thank you. At this time, we should do the selection of the chair and the vice chair. This is generally done by discussion among the board members. In other words, if somebody wants to stay where they are, if somebody wants to nominate somebody else, this is a time for you to have this conversation. And I might even invite public commentary, but please, I think we should start with the chair.
I would like to make a motion. I would like to make a motion. One more person, you said.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Santiago. So it sounds like we had a motion from Mr. Santana that Mr. Mata should be nominated for chair. That needs a second.
I'll do it for nobody else.
Now, we did have a second, so at this point we have a nomination for Mr. Mata. The question would be, are there any other nominations? Okay, so hearing none, you have a motion to elect Mr. Mata as the chair. All in favor? All right, that motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Mata. At this time, we are selecting a vice chair. So, same procedure. Is there anybody who has an idea, an interest, an indication?
What's here?
Mr. Santana.
Vice chair?
Mr. Santana, are you nominating yourself to be the vice chair?
No.
Okay, that's what it sounded like. Careful what you say.
I want to give you
I'll nominate Moreno as the vice chair.
Thank you. Mr. Self nominates Mr. Moreno, so that is a motion to nominate Mr. Moreno. We need a second. Okay, we have a second from Mr. Santiago. All right, so we have a motion, we have a full nomination for Mr. Moreno as the vice chair. Anybody else? All right, all in favor? Thank you. And now I'm out.
So we already have, thank you, board, and we're going to move forward. So we already have approvals of the agenda, additions, adoption, approved of the meeting minutes. Now we're going to go into public comments. Marie, hold on one second. Let me ask you this. Are we going to go into the election before we go into public comments? It's not on the agenda.
That's a great point. Do we have a result? So at this time, we'll hear the election result.
Good afternoon. My name is Amy Swindle. I'm with the firm of McCallum and Swindle in Lewiston. We are an independent firm. The results of the election and these ballots were not touched by anybody other than the people who voted and myself and my assistant. There was a total of 161 votes casted, 58 for Mr. Santana, 103 for Mr. Fortes.
Very good. So we have a new board member. That board member takes office 10 days after the election, but because the next actual meeting is just going to be the November meeting, that person will be sworn in during the November meeting. So congratulations to them, and we look forward to swearing them in. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. At this present moment, we're going to take public comments. We have Marie. Where are we going to do the... All right, Marie. Do we have a mic for the people that are going to speak?
Right here.
Hello? Okay. This is really not Central County business related. However, it does affect all of you guys. Up here are some brochures from Clueless and Friends of Animals. And it's an organization, it's a 501c3 organization that was newly reformed in town for help in low-cost spay, neuter of your pets. The girl that has been doing it out here for 2 or 3 years now, up until this year, out of her own pocket. Normally, she was getting about 30 animals picked up out of here that were running loose, or that people called and said, hey, can you please take my animal to rescue? Since the beginning of 2024, Clewiston Friends of Animals has done 250 spay-neuter procedures to the residents of Montura at no cost to you all. And she has also pulled and sent 400 dogs and cats out of here to rescues that are no-kill shelters. She works with both coasts, on the East Coast, the West Coast. She has spay-neuter partners that will help you spay and neuter your animals to cut down on the homeless and stray animals running around out here. If anybody is interested, please pick up a brochure. It's in Spanish and English, or a flyer, actually, it's in Spanish and English. If you're on Facebook, it's Clewiston Friends of Animals on Facebook. And they've also, she said that they've donated thousands of pounds of food to the residents out here. If you cannot afford, or it's just out of control, you have too many to get them fixed or to feed them, please contact the Friends of Animals. I am on the board, I'll make that disclaimer. And you will have to go on a list. It may take a little while. The hurricanes kind of got her behind schedule, but it's an awesome thing that they're doing. Please tell your neighbors, please tell your friends, please tell your kids. The main thing is to educate people about the homeless animals and to help them and help you guys. And of course, any donations that anybody would like to make, even if you give her $10 for the gas, because it's an hour-and-a-half trip to either coast, and all of that is paid for strictly by donations. So if you're interested, we would definitely appreciate it. And I'm going to throw this in here. If the Central County Board would like to make a donation, we would also appreciate that. It's a 501c3 tax deductible. And we're just trying to help everybody and their pets. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will speak on the board. Next, we have Jose, 320 South Quebrada.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es José, tengo complaint para los diches que seguimos con el mismo problema, que no nos limpian. ¿Ok? Ya he reportado año y medio en el site donde yo vivo, esa parte de ahí tiene que rebajar y mantener el dicho limpio, y no lo han hecho. Les pedí permiso para hacer lo mío, dicen que no, que es cosa de ustedes. Ese es un problema que tenemos ahí. Cuando llueve, el agua no corre. ¿Me entienden? A mí esta vez que cayó el agua, casi subió el dragway, y el dragway tiene como 4 pulgadas para abajo, 4 pies. Eso no es natural. ¿Me entienden? Ahora, yo no sé quiénes son los encargados de eso, quiénes son los encargados de prender las pompas cuando pasa eso, porque estos canales grandes se supone que no deben estar llenos de agua, porque aquí no hacemos cultivación, no sacamos agua para ninguna parte. Entonces los canales deben estar secos todo el tiempo casi, por lo regular. Para el caso de esta lluvia que llegan, que no se sabe cuándo, los canales no están listos, por eso el agua se flota para arriba. ¿Entiendes? Cualquiera de aquí puede justificar que lo que digo yo es verdad. Es un problema. A otra, la SAIMO es para eso, para tratar de ayudarnos a uno. Yo me dedico a cortar yardas, ¿verdad? Ok, no tengo problema yo por hacer todo el frente donde yo corto, mantenerlo limpio, ¿me entiendes? Pero necesito una poca ayuda a que limpien primero ellos con el side mower, ya después se encarga uno. Hay partes que los diches están muy hondos, no puede hacerle uno. ¿Entiendes? Para eso está la side mower. Nosotros estamos de acuerdo que de la orilla de la cerca para allá 6 pies o 7 pies, no importa, eso es fácil. Pero ya de ahí para acá, no se puede. Ay, por favor, si pueden hacer algo en consideración a eso, principalmente donde yo vivo, el agua corre de montura a quebrada y de ahí agarra para acá. Y por eso se amontona mucho el agua ahí. Hasta ahorita apenas se está secando. Y fíjense cuándo pasó eso. Y más para adelante no hay agua. ¿Qué quiere decir? Que el agua no corre. Así de sencillo. La locomotora esa pasa, dijéramos, tenemos un bajón de traque que no se puede bajar en la carretera. ¿Estamos de acuerdo? Pues usted tiene un bajón de llanta. Ese fácil va allí, no tarda ni 5 minutos en arreglar eso. Todas las tardes por ahí pasa, campante. Oiga, eso no se puede. ¿Ok? Por favor, gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Very good comment. So, and that's some of the reason I think we need to address going forward. I have received a lot of complaints as well. So, from the board directing the acting manager, if I'm not mistaken, we are in charge of that swell to maintain and to clean that swell. And I notice our people do cut, but they don't cut in that swell. So can we make that adjustment with our team to start making that happen so it can become lower? Because I don't see our team coming back with a sidearm or anything to touch that swell. As far as the cutting, that's just as far as the cutting. We're going to speak on the most important part is the cleaning of the ditches so that water can run from wherever it's supposed to its right elevation. But can we make that change that not only do we need to cut with our boom mower, what's it called? Bush hogs, but we need to get other pieces of equipment in there too, because it is our responsibility, what I'm being told. It is our responsibility, and it hasn't been done, so we need to make that adjustment to get done. Does anybody on the board have any comments, questions, or want to
Can I speak
elaborate on
real
that?
quick on that?
Well, before that, let's just get some feedback from the board, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so that's one of the issues that I brought up in multiple meetings about, is that we're responsible from fence line to fence line. And I know that there's a 2 foot that I guess y'all say that y'all stay off of and stuff, and I know that,
From the fence.
yeah, from the fence. And even then, that's not even being done. And I've always noticed that they've done from the center of the ditch out to the road, and the problem is that all that high grass restricts the conveyance of the water down to the canal, and then whenever you mow it, it leaves these big mats in there, ends up in the culvert. And then the one that's responsible for the culvert is going to be the landowner, but the problem came from Central County. And I hope that we can finally get this addressed, because for a while now, this is an issue that's been brought up multiple times, and nothing has ever been done about it. So hopefully now today, something to get done. So,
Thank you, board member. So, anybody else on the board? Before we turn it over for comments from the from the acting manager? You have the floor.
Okay, so we took into consideration everything you guys stated. If you go down Ventura Avenue, we started off of Cabbage Palm. We've gotten up to Kennel. We've been using the boom mower to go into those areas and to that other side. So it's already, we've gotten on the north and south side of Ventura Avenue from Zambria down to Kennel on both sides with the boom mower inside the swells.
Good, thank you.
So I'm just letting you guys know that we are working on it.
So let me ask you, just to chase that rabbit just a little bit further.
Sure.
Is that going to be our norm going forward?
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you a follow-up question. Is it going to go from Montura to Hunting Club, Montura to Avenida del Sur, or what is your vision, what is your plan of attack with that?
So we started with Ventura Avenue because a lot of the roads have a lot of the debris of the trees coming over onto the actual road. So we chose Ventura first. And as soon as we're done, we'll assist the next major road that has a lot of the debris on the roads. Like people can't actually get through the road because there's limbs just coming over. And so we're actually cutting with the boom mower on the side and picking up the debris and doing the swell at the same time.
So as we're going through the boom, all of the sides are being taken care of. And then we will go on to, I believe Hunting Club was the next one that we assessed.
So we're doing the side mower of the vegetation and we're doing the swales at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Can you let the board know when we're finished with that area, where we're going to next?
Sure.
So we can inform
I sure can.
the community?
Sure.
All right, thank you. And
You're
thank you,
welcome.
Mr. Sanchez. Ms. Hernandez, 460 North Arboleta Street.
I just wanted to get an update on if I wanted to combine my properties. Remember I spoke a couple months back, and we have an alleyway in the middle, to see if we're anywhere, near that, or any update, or?
I believe it's on here, but also I believe that Mr. Famero was working on it. There was something that I believe he said it could happen if we did something.
If I may, a couple months ago, Supervisor Self brought it up to our attention. We asked our engineer, he said there's really no need for it, because that was my question. So then we went to John, and John said that he was going to get us a clear answer if we legally have to keep it, but we were left in the gray area that we really didn't, because you're not the only resident out here that wants to do that. And the board is in agreement to it, as long as we're not breaking no laws that we legally have to keep it. So I think that's something that we still don't have a clear answer on.
Thank you. And yes, I actually looked at this in October of 2022. And at the time, I prepared all the documents necessary to vacate individually. I think I prepared a monster vacation of easements so that all of them are done at the same time. But the short answer is yes, it can be done. And really, it's just a question of we need legal descriptions just of the affected properties. And there is everything has to have paper. So there's a resolution that goes with it. For each one has its own little resolution.
So are you saying that every landowner needs to come in individually to ask for that, or we automatically, because there's alleyways, there's 10-foot swells, there's all that kind of stuff, or do we automatically cookie cutter everything that's within our zone gets done? Because that would be the way to do it. One lump sum instead of...
Lump sum would be fine, just understand there would be recording fees. So a lot of times, the reason why we get into these individually is because the landowners, in order to be able to claim the easement, have to record it. It's not our, we don't charge for it, but the county charges to have it recorded. So often the process is we draft a vacation, vacate the easement, give that executed document to the landowner, and then they can either record it or not record it. The benefit to them is to record it, but they pay for the recording fees.
So when can this get done? I'll get to it. So when can this get done so they can start coming in and capturing their...
We can do it piecemeal. We can do it piecemeal. In other words, if there's somebody who's hot, champing at the bit to do it, we'll do it. I've got the templates already.
So you'll work along with the office to make sure everything gets recorded and everything gets done so that landowners can grab that piece of the parcel back?
All I need is a PCN.
Okay.
For sort of above and below the easement. That's how we do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so one of the things that I explained last time is that my parents did it years ago, and there's a legal process you have to go through. So Central County would have to abandon it, then it'd have to go in front of the Board of County Commissioners for whatever reason. And once it's officially abandoned, then the property appraiser has to come in and recognize that property as yours now. You have to get it resurveyed, and then that has to get resurveyed, and now that little piece gets put back. And so my parents did that, and we have the paperwork that's still there. So if this does get passed, I can provide you all the paperwork that they went through. There's a little bit of a procedure, but the framework's already there. It's just up to the board to make that decision. No, the board hasn't. They said no.
So we can put together a resolution that in principle approves any vacation process.
Yeah.
And that'll just be sitting there. But it can be a one-time for the concept, but then for each landowner, we would have to do an individual vacation of easement. That gives them the power to go through the... Sometimes maybe they need a survey, maybe they don't. The property appraiser oftentimes just works with a legal, not a survey. But if they want to build something on it, if they want to encroach, they're not encroaching anymore. and that's what the survey does. It shows that they are not encroaching.
Yeah, any paperwork that y'all will need, we have it, same thing with anybody else here, that they're within that right of way. We could provide you the same way how my parents did it back then, and so there is a procedure, it's just actually going in and getting it done, but it could get done. All right.
Ms. Hernandez, if you would be the first one to keep pushing this thing so we can get yours done, and hopefully we'll learn from this. Anybody from the board have any questions, comments on this? None being said, Ms. Self, 266 Avenida Club.
Good afternoon, everyone. There's 3 things that I want to talk about today. I won't prolong it too long, but there's 3 things that I think are of high concern to this community. First of all, the election. A lot of people are not aware that we were holding an election today, the time of the election. There's people who are wondering when was it starting, when was the meeting going to start. I did contact your manager, and I asked her if this information was anywhere on the website. Actually, what I asked her was what was the time, what was the specific time, because I had checked several times on the website and it was not stating what time the voting was going to be from certain time to what time, you know. And there was people that had been asking. So she said everything was on the website. It was not. Up to this day, there still wasn't on the information as far as the time that the voting was going to begin and end. The time that the meeting was going to start, it was not on the website. Neither was the location of where the election was going to be held. These important keys to inform the community, that way we could have a good, turnout. I know they said there was 161 votes. We don't know exactly how many people came out to actually vote, but again, a lot of people were not aware, the candidates had to contact everybody and people still didn't know, and I believe this is something that at least the minimum, the details of where this election is going to be, the time that the election is going to be, voting from 9 o'clock to 3 p.m. Those are important things for the community to be able to decide if they're going to be able to make or make the arrangements to make this election. That's one of the issues. Also, another thing that I want to talk about is the overtime. For the last 4 months, I've noticed that there is a tremendous amount of overtime that is being paid. And let's go to June. June, we had 335 hours of overtime. July, we had 498 hours of overtime. August, we had 624.5 hours of overtime. September, we had 413.7 hours. That's a total of 1,870 hours, 71 hours of overtime. My question is, the community wants to know, as for myself, where is this overtime being utilized? Now, I did hear that Becca just said, they are cleaning ditches. This just started, I don't know how long ago, but I mean, this has been a problem, an ongoing problem. I talked about this 2 years ago. I brought it up to several of the board members that are currently on the board, and I don't believe this is being talked about enough. And it's not a matter of, whether the amount of that it is, but people want to know where is it being used. You have workers who are already working their 40 hours, and when you have this much overtime being used, and yet the community looks the way that it does, our maintenance is not being done, what's going on, people start to wonder, where are you using this, this overtime? And I understand the workers, they get their directives from the management. They're ordered to do what management tells them to do. But I don't see anybody on this board ever questioning enough and asking the right questions of where is it being utilized, because people are asking. And this is not the first time that I brought this up either. Now, another point that I want to make as well that I find there to be an issue is I sent an email to each board member. And I don't know if you received it. I sent this email on Thursday, and I mentioned how it's known that there's a conflict of interest when it comes to Daniel Santiago, who is over the LaBelle White House, and when it also comes to management, her management being part of that LaBelle White House. She's the chief of staff. Now, I understand that there's nowhere in the law that says that you cannot partake in 501c3s, but what I find an issue to be is that Daniel is a board member who is over the district manager. He makes decisions that, can influence and can benefit the manager based on, his personal relationships with her. Now, a lot of the community is wondering and starting to question, does he have the community's best interests in mind whenever he is over the LaBelle White House and she is also part of his staff? There is a conflict of interest, and whether or not we can prove it at the end of the day, we're always going to have to question his integrity of whether or not he can make a good factual decision for the community and not be, afraid to go against her if she does something wrong, just because of the fact that she's part of his 501c3. And I think a lot of the community is become aware of it. They don't like it, they're questioning it. And also because, again, he's made it public known that he is for her becoming a manager. So I think that becomes an issue, not only as him being a board member, but there's also, in the past, they were living together, him being a board member. So I think that's an issue. I think that's going to be an ongoing issue. It also questions the integrity of the board and his integrity. And I think that's something that you guys all need to be aware of coming up. It's something that needs to be aware and, do something about it. I mean, it's not right. It's not right, and I believe a lot of the community, is asking the same thing. They're starting to question whether or not he will be able to do what's right for the community with his personal ties to her and, family and also other employees who are also part of the LaBelle White House. So that's what I wanted to bring up. Like I said, I sent each one of you an email, very detailed, of the issues that I believe that this is going to bring up, and it's up to you guys. I mean, at this point, I brought it up to a public meeting. That way we don't claim ignorance in the long run. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michelle. Anybody on the board like to discuss to bring up on the three different topics that she brought up?
So to clarify something, and I'll stand up for this. Yes, we'll go from the top of her list. So for communication aspect, Becky and our new receptionist that is in the front office, which used to be Rosa, we don't have a marketing team. We don't have a personal information officer that deals with any of our social media. We don't even have a Facebook page. If you go to any other water control district, any government agency, they have some kind of form of communication in which they let the community know. Since I've been here, I tried to make it very known that I like to keep the community informed so that we make sure transparency. That's the only way you're going to know what's happening behind closed doors, as well as what happens when you're not there. I ran to help better my community. I didn't run to put money in my pocket. So that's a statement that I want to keep very clear to everyone here. I don't get paid for being here, but the $50 that they get for compensation for you being a board member. So let's clear the train of misleading information. Marcy Self and her husband, since I ran, because they were actually the ones who helped me run, I was very motivated from the things that they told me to run about. When I got into this office, I questioned Becky for 30 days straight when Flacco was the manager. Every single day I was in there for 8 hours a day asking for paperwork, receipts, and all of the stuff that Mr. Self, that's up here today, had questioned about. There was nothing that this woman here had done illegally or wrong under the management of Flacco, who used to be the former manager of Central County Water Control District. Since she's been the manager, this board that sits up here today had promised her after 90 days that we would appoint her the manager, and after that, then we would see what is fit. This board did not do so, and I've been the chair for a whole year, and I did not have the only vote to put her in as the manager. So we'll address that. I have pushed, minus Santana, I have pushed to put her as the manager, but I was also pushed to keep Central County very transparent, and this is before she became the interim manager. Let's talk about the overtime. The overtime that they do is all questionable. It's all there on the budget. Yes, she gets the directive from the board. She is the overseer, but before this there was overtime as well from the previous manager who was Flacco. It was still questioned, but now that she's the interim manager, we're looking for ways to moving her out. And then last but not least, for the organization. My organization has been started since 2012. We don't benefit. No one who sits on that board, even though I'm the president, we don't get paid. Everything we do is non-profit. That's why it's a non-profit 501c. Anything that her or any manager has done here in Central County was questioned. when it was brought to my attention by Self himself that there was no oversight or no, every October there's supposed to be a review of the manager and their work that they do. Every October, the first week of October, I would show up to Central County and I would ask Flacco, now I'm doing your review, and I would drive around with him and ask him all of these questions, and I would give it back to the community at that monthly meeting. Since I've been here, has anyone minus Chris Self done any of that? No, they haven't. So transparency is on our website, on the www.labellewhitehouse.com. It's been up there for years. When it comes to transparency, I'm here about transparency. I ran to make a difference for this community. I didn't run to divide our community. I didn't run to mislead you. Anything that any of you want to know, you can call, message me, or text me. I don't go back and forth to argue with people because that's not how we fix things. If there's a problem, we call out the problem, but we also find the solution. I said that when he first got elected, that if there's a problem, you bring the problem addressed, but you also bring the solution, which there hasn't been. He talks about, that he says that, we have to micromanage. Everything that comes out of that man's mouth is micromanaging. Him and his wife go on Facebook, social media, and belittle not just myself, but everybody else who comes before Central County to defend Central County. If you want to know anything about Central County, Becky is always free to go into the office and answer anybody's questions. I'm more than welcome to answer anybody's questions, but I won't sit here and let anyone disrespect my organization that has been here to help the community of Montour for years, as well as Becky and herself. All we do is to better help this community and keep a very transparent light. You want something, you want to know something, come to the office and we'll be there to help you. We're not going to go on all of these other platforms and pages to answer incorrect, misleading information. So that's all I have to say. If there's anything anybody wants to know about CCWCD, Becky would be more than happy to show it to you when it comes to overtime, credit card receipts, or anything like that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Any other board member to my left?
Here you go.
Yes, I've been here for 4 years. And as the result of the elections, I don't want to continue on this board, but I have been very proud to serve on this board. Honesty have been 100%. You know, all the supervisors, every board member. And I concur with Mr. Santiago in everything that he said. Okay? 100%. There's honesty here. For all the supervisors we have here, there's honesty here. And the managers have performed an excellent job. And I said it before, I said it again. I don't know how many times I've been asked to make the manager, the permanent manager of Central County Water Control District for the benefits of the residents. That's why I run. And the 4 years I've been here for the benefit of the city servant. And I believe this board has been very unfair to her. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. You have anything? You got the floor, Mr.
Yeah, I want to keep it real short. I don't have to defend myself on anything. Before becoming a board member here, I worked for Central County, and I had to make a very big sacrifice at my job and leave my job to expose a lot of corruption that was going up. So I had my best interest in this community before I even got up here. Even whenever I got out, I still attended every single meeting here in this community. And I put a lot of work into looking into a bunch of stuff where they say it's micromanagement, starting problems, whatever. There's been a lot of things that I brought out that people said was lying, creating problems, whatnot. All of it came out to be true. There's not one thing that they have ever disproven that I accused them of. That was under management. No, you're gonna. But we're talking about it now, so I didn't interrupt you. So the thing is that I want everybody, more for Daniel Santiago, this community, they're not blind or dumb. They see past everything that's going on here, So the thing is just, quit knocking people that are trying to straighten out the community before you even came here, And this is one of the things that y'all need to realize. Every board member that has ever sat up here, got voted out, you don't see them back up here. If the day I lose my position here, I'm still going to be sitting there with y'all. I was there before, I'm here now, and I'm going to be here later. Some of these other guys, they're fly-by-nights. Whenever they have a position, they feel very holy and mighty and powerful. They lose their position, your interest is not in them no more. They disappear. So, more for you. Remember, this community is not dumb. You know, they came out and they spoke today because they're tired of it. And they see everybody, what every single person up here is doing. And you know what? There's elections coming up in another 2 years. So, you know, so they're paying attention to everything going on. You could call me whatever you want. They know better. And if they don't, that's perfectly fine. They see what we all do. I don't have to vindicate it or justify myself. So, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So we definitely will move forward. Mr. Alonzo, I'm not sure of the address. I think that's 512 North Arboleda, I believe.
Yeah, Chris, I'm here to talk about the ditches. Someone in specific, Mr. Carlos Santana likes to go to the pumps right before the hurricane and show a video of the pumps running. And I don't know if you understand how these pumps run, but you need water to get to those pumps for them to pump the water out. If the drains are backed up and CDC doesn't work on the drains, right? And the water cannot get to those pumps, then it doesn't matter if those pumps are running. Because all the ditches, they're backed up. That's what the community is telling you guys. I have been telling you guys about my specific street. When you were the board, remember the main guy? You specifically told Becky, and it's on a video, it's on YouTube, it's a public record, to get she had to send me a list or let me know when they would get to my block, to my street, right? She was gonna give me a call, she would send me an email. It's been 6 months. Still, no call. And then I go, and I'm one of the people that find out that you guys belong to the same non-profit. It makes it very questionable. Me, as a person from this community, very questionable. Not only that, then you go and you find out about all the overtime that's being spent compared to even 2 years ago when the old manager was running it. I think in 3 months you guys piled up what he piled up in a year. That doesn't make, and then you go out here, you look at the community, I mean, I personally don't see where that overtime is going towards the betterment of the community, which is what it's supposed to be. And just to close off, one last thing, if you go on the website, just in case if you guys didn't know, on the CBC it says that your official purpose is recreation, drainage, irrigation, water control, and development of lands within CDC. It's your responsibility for the drainage. And the community's telling you guys are not doing your job. And I've been coming to these meetings for months. You guys have seen me coming to these meetings for months talking about it. Before you guys could say the storms, before all of that, I've been talking about it month after month. And still, I haven't heard back from you guys. And last thing, Becky, you mentioned that after you guys are done with the streets you guys are working on, you guys will assess. That means you guys don't have a plan. If you're gonna assess afterwards, I would guess you guys, if you guys have a list, like you guys say, there's a list of properties where you guys are prioritizing, right? The priority of list, where's said list? And still, the community hasn't seen said list, and now that you guys have the hurricanes and the tornadoes and all kind of stuff, now where does that list fall into your priority? And with all the overtime being spent, I would hope somebody will hold the person in charge accountable for that. Because you guys are trying to promote that person, well, Becky, to become a permanent manager, and this is what she has to show for the community. I personally, as a member of this community, I wouldn't agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alonzo. Anybody on the board like to speak on that? Anybody to my left?
If I'm not mistaken, Ms. Hernandez, didn't you get with him regarding his swell that we were working on, the culverts that had needed to be replaced, if that was an emergency? If I'm not mistaken.
He came into the office several times after the meeting, and he said he will continue to come to every meeting and continue to bring me out until I get to his road and get it done. And, again, we do have the, street list of our roads, and we're working on them. We just got material in for the millings that we're redoing our roads. We do have a plan in action. You're more than welcome to come to the office if you want to. I do have the list. I have, like I said, we are working on the swells along with the boom mower to target certain areas. So during this dry season, we do what we have to. If there's a storm or if there's something that pops up that we have to attend to first, everything becomes a halt, and the priority of the district, which is water, is gonna be first. So if there's anything else that we have to come back and do a cleanup on, that's what we're gonna target. And then we'll come back to our regular maintenance of the roads and cutting of the grass and everything else. So again, that's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Anybody else on my left? Go.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for watching my videos. Okay? Thank you. The reason, the purpose that I make this video is a lot of people call me, warn me about the canal levels are high and the water pumps are running. So I make the videos so the residents of Montour, they can find out, although we know that the water pumps are running and the canal levels are low, because some people were misleading them on Facebook, telling them the water pumps were not running. So I wanted for them to know that the water pump was running. That was my...
It's not back and forth.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a different organization, bro. Sorry.
I'm not, it's gonna be decent in order. Anybody else on my left?
Yeah, so Becca, my thing about the things that you said that you have a plan, that plan has to be presented to the board. If we don't have no idea that, I didn't know you had a plan until you said it now. And the thing is that if we have to go in to see the plan, then it's just an idea. A plan gets put on paper, you should be able to email it to us and present it to us, your plan. And that's something that has lacked a lot, is communication on that. Even like during the hurricanes and stuff, nobody on this board, at least I know I haven't received an email or a text message of any operation of what y'all doing. Because the community says, what's going on? I said, I have no idea. But why aren't you checking with your manager? We shouldn't have to check in with the manager. Manager should have to tell us what you're doing, because you're the one getting paid for the planning and operations of this. So that's something that I really would like to see better change. You know, it's like telling us what's going on. And if you told any other board member what was going on, that doesn't look good either, because we're all equal on this. Yeah, but we didn't get none of that. I didn't. Did you send any updates to anybody else here? Did anybody else here on the board get an update on the storms, what was being done?
I reached out to the employees and the manager.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to the field staff and the manager.
Yeah. But
So again, not to cut you off, board members came by. As they came through, you were there on one of the days on one of our storms that you showed up.
I was with them guys till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. As well as Mr. Mata was helping on the background with a pump that we were able to attend, and Santiago and Santana. So everybody on the board, Mr. Moreno, I don't know where you were in all of it, but the ones that were here locally, you were in North Carolina. I know that during the certain storms, he wasn't available.
Yeah.
So again, the preparedness on what we do is based on watching the news and the district as we need it. Now, our rotation doesn't change. Our guys were out there 24/7. While everybody was sleeping, they were the ones manning everything. Even from the first storm that hit us on a Monday night on September 9th. We ran those pumps. That following morning, we had our, our water levels were already at 21.5. Adding another 7 inches of rain does not help. We're not gonna be able to drain that water. That's the second day. That's where you guys came out. The pumps came out. We had another 5 inches of water. We were able to the water started residing, except in the woodland area, which is our biggest area where right now we qualify with the resilience grant for an extension of a separate part where we can be able to help and not restructure, but get the funding to help actually finish Canal 13. without having to use our employees to do overtime, to haul the debris, to do the surveying and all of that. So a lot of the things that we do and we've done for OT has been so we don't have to subcontract it out because it's so expensive right now. So if the guys can do it, we have a great team. So I rely a lot on their knowledge and wisdom when it comes to what we're doing out on the roads. And I will say this, we have not had to subcontract a lot of the things that have been done, and we've been able to keep it in-house. So when it comes to that, and our storms, we've gotten hit with 3 storms in less than 2 weeks of each other.
Yeah, my question is about the plan, not, I'm sorry, because I know you're kind of going off to left field, but what I'm trying to do is keep it where, so the thing is with the plan and the lack of communication, so like our president, he has advisors that advise him what's going on. So the thing is that information has to be relayed from you to us. That's the way it's supposed to work. We shouldn't have to chase the manager down for information. Because even during that storm, I didn't know what was going on. I had to call you and ask you, but if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have got no information. The last one that came through, we got 0 information. That's not transparency. And that's your job. I'm not trying to be hard, but the thing is that that's not...
I respect your opinion.
That's not the way this stuff works. You have to tell us what's going on. We can't sit here and imagine what's going on. You have to relay that to us. This is why we have emails. That's why you're in the position. Your job is to do that. That's the only thing I ask, and I don't think that it's for nobody to get upset about or get bent out of shape. That's just common sense that should be going on. Because if somebody asks me what's going on, I say, our manager updated us. This is what's going on. Not that I had to call the manager, because then it's like, okay, so then who works for who? We work for the community. You work for us. That's the way that tier works. So the information has to come from the bottom up back into the community. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Do we have any more comments from the community? No? We're gonna go to all the new business. Discuss the board and amend the budget for year end in September 2024.
We're gonna ask request for the year 29. We're gonna go for the budgets.
Okay, we have an amended budget for the year that just ended that needs to be signed by the board that brings the fund balance forward from the September 23 audit that we just talked about a little bit ago. So we need to, pass something or what to make that get signed?
She's taking a motion.
Oh, okay.
To amend the budget,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fund balance forward.
and fund balance forward is how much?
The fund balance forward is the 1,219,267 that basically becomes the beginning number for October 1st of '23 for the year that just ended. Yeah,
For this last year's fiscal budget.
right. To make it match the audit.
Understood.
Okay.
Anybody on the board have questions?
Okay.
Do we have a motion from the board to amend the budget? We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Santana. We have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Santiago. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Next, we're gonna discuss the board of 20. We're gonna discuss the board of 2025 annual meeting with members.
Oh, so,
Becky, you have-
Yes, yeah. So there's a 2025 annual meeting dates are in your binder. These are the next meetings, right up front. It should be right in the front. Yes. These are the next dates for next year's meeting. I left the 7 p.m. start time. And then these are the fourth Wednesday of every month except on October, November, and December because of the events that we have. Our Landowners annual meeting, and then you see where we have our budget meeting starting in June, July up through August, and then we have our final budget. So if there's anything that the board, we're gonna, these are, again, I don't know, the set time is at 7 p.m. What you guys,
Any board member have any questions?
Does anybody on the board looking at upcoming year? Because when we do our budget meetings, it does become a little bit long and hectic. Yeah. I was gonna propose that this upcoming year we try it, where we have different dates for our budget so that we can fully work on our budget control, but also that the meetings don't become 8-10 hours long.
The budget workshop.
Yeah, the budget workshop on a different day.
Can we do that?
okay, so when I first started, we used to have budget workshops and they would do it on an off day. So if you want to choose a different day to do the budget workshop, and it's just like the board and the community, that's what we used to do.
Is it like 3 separate meetings, 3 different?
Yeah, it was a separate meeting that we would do, and I need to know because I do have to public, I have to post it, you know, through the legal ad, so everybody's on the same, so we need to choose, if you guys would like to do that, I just
Can
need
it
the
be
dates.
if no one's opposed to it, the same weekend that the regular meeting's on, the weekend before, so that we can talk about the budget?
I'm not against.
Like Saturday, like how this meeting is.
So for instance, if our meeting is,
Let's just say, for instance, our meetings are at 7 on the Wednesday, maybe we'll do it on a Tuesday, just for the workshop for that same month.
Yeah.
That Tuesday and follow up with the Wednesday for 3, those 3 months, those 3 separate.
Yeah, and the only thing I want to add too is to these dates, if we could put the 7 o'clock on them.
It
and
is
then,
up there.
Huh?
It's up there.
Well, I mean, under each one, because if you still look where it never says October 18th, 2025, it says landowners annual meeting. We need to have from 9 to 3, something more specific.
Well, that's why I left it open, because I knew you guys wanted the workshops.
Okay.
So this is just me putting it out there.
It's just a draft that you got put.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you guys can give it to me, because for our next meeting in November, we need to vote on it, and then I can get it published before December for the new year, okay? So that's why I put it here for you guys to, because I didn't know if you wanted to start at 6 again on a regular meeting, and then do workshops separately, you know, stuff like that, and this is where it's at, so I just need your input so I can write it down, and then I can put it in our next agenda for next meeting, and then you guys can, vote on it,
All right, appreciate it.
okay? So,
Anybody, any board member opposed to doubling up for 3 months for workshops at 7 o'clock, like the Tuesday before our meeting? So it'd be Tuesday and Wednesday for 3 separate months, but we give us and the community to thoroughly have good workshops, so our budget is good. Any board members against that? Can we get a motion on the floor to approve that?
okay, so it would be June 24, and then our meeting's on June 25th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
For
all right.
how many meetings do we need to?
3, just the 3.
So it'll be June, July, and August.
Correct,
All right, so it'll be a Tuesday and a Wednesday?
Yes.
On both?
yes.
Okay.
Starting at 7, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Same time? Okay.
We have a motion on the floor for that. We have a motion by Mr. Santiago. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed, 5-0. So with that being said, we'll move on. Thank you, Becky, for that. Discuss and vote district manager shortlist. It's on yours, Mr. City Attorney.
Here we go. We started the process of selecting a new district manager in April. That is to say, we reopened the process by posting the job description on the Indeed website. Between April and August, we received 133 applications. And out of those applications, we identified 10 finalists. And the criteria, not surprisingly, were experience in construction and heavy equipment, experience in supervision and management, and experience in financial and budget management. We have 10. We created the list, and I also happen to have 3 sets for those who don't play around too much on the computer, and I can provide those to you after the fact. So it'll be 3 sets of 10 resumes for the top 10. Our criteria are subjective. So I counted how many years experience does somebody have, how many years of experience that they claim was managerial or supervisory. All right, so out of that group, we have at least, our top candidate is somebody who has held multiple public utility positions, 23 years management experience. We have another gentleman who was actually an assistant district manager here for some years, between 07 and 16. I consider him our number 2. We have another gentleman who was at the St. Johns River Water Management District for 20 years of experience there. And then we have other people who are here among you who know the district like the back of their hand, who are in the list. I'm going to stop that. So that's August through August 14th, we have a top 10. I get that. We created that top 10 for you because we've been running the job search for several months already, and that was the second attempt. We wanted to get some more good candidates. Even since August until yesterday, we've received 70 more applications. Out of those, there were 2 that were good. They were very good. In other words, it's always going to be a sort of chicken and egg situation or chasing your tail. If you want to wait longer, you get better candidates. The longer you wait, I'm going to give you the top 10. I have no indication of which among the top 10 is available, right? Because it started in April. So as you make your deliberations, you don't have to vote now. You don't have to make any decision now. We can make the actual decision at a subsequent meeting, but I would advise you to take a look at the applications, see who you love, and pick at least 5. Because I'm saying out of those 5, maybe we get 3. And obviously, if you want to reopen the process or keep the process going, clearly we get, once in a while, we get a great candidate. And so that's all I have for you. After the fact, I'll hand out the resume packets and answer any questions that you may have.
So with that being said, how long has this been searching for a manager?
How long have we been searching for a manager? Thank you for that information as well.
Sure. April 14th to the present is the current rounds. So we're talking about several months now, and that's why I'm concerned about the applications getting a little stale.
Understood. So let me ask you so I make sure that I thoroughly understood what you were saying. So out of the 10, we want to shortlist probably at 5?
Remember, you have to interview them all.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're saying we should end up with 5 good ones.
So after the 10, after we interview them, shortlist of 5, and then go from there.
Correct.
So we're probably looking at another 2 or 3 months.
I would say 3 meetings.
And we would have to do it individually so we don't interfere with the sunshine law and all that.
Correct. That's the part that, when you're looking at 10, you're already doing a lot of work.
Gotcha.
If you get them down to 5, and we have 5, you'd be very lucky.
So can you do this, or the board do this? What is going to be our criteria, a numbering system, who we like? Can we figure that out so we know when we do these interviews and we shortlist them, we know exactly, everybody knows exactly how the scoring is going to be, if there's going to be a scoring, or, hey, you know what, I like John Doe, I'm going to pick John Doe, or Sally has what I'm looking for. We need to make sure we have that so we're all on the same page when we pick that candidate.
100%. So I'll come up with a scoring system, and what I would suggest is that you plan on at the next meeting, again, look at the applications, at least look at the top 10. I'll resend out an email that I sent out, September, that included the PDFs of the top 10, And I think I might have included some commentary, 23 years management experience, something just simple, but it's up to you to read through. And then plan on at the next meeting, pick who you want to champion. Pick your favorites and talk about them in order to create some awareness among the board.
Understood. Anybody to my left want to speak on this?
I spoke about it a month ago to see it, and John said it was okay, and I think the board was in agreement to it, is if we do the interviews, we at a meeting in a public forum, so that we can not run through it, but we can address them as the board.
Certainly.
Because the board is the one who's hiring them, and then it allows the community to see the transparency of the questions and who and what candidate we want to choose.
And it's 10 seconds you on your time.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, you don't have to. You can just stand and deliver.
Understood. Anybody on my left? Any comments, questions? That was a good question. The question was, when can we start doing interviews?
All right, so what I'll do is after the meeting is do an outreach, at least to the top 10, see who's available.
Okay.
Right, that's going to be
So
key.
you'll give us feedback back on that?
Yes, and I will, and I've got copies of the other two, let's call them, because I was impressed at the level of experience there. One of them is an architect, and the other one is somebody who's been doing district managerial operating tasks for a while. So you can have those. I'll give Becky a couple in case the public wants them. And based on that number, it's going to be 10 plus 2, right? I'll see what the availability is, and we'll set it up.
Understood. Yeah, is the other two is one of them, because when I was going through, I've been through all of them. And I know Daniel Cochran, he didn't make the list. I see he was one of the ones that, I don't know if that's the other two you was talking about.
Jaime Acosta, he's an architect out of Pompano, and then Timothy Day is a former city and town manager out of Cape Coral. But remember, again, I can't tell you how subjective these are. I mean, it's me reading a resume and saying, when did you graduate high school or college? What's your first job? When did that start? What's your most recent job? When did that end? Arithmetic. And then if any of them says supervisor, manager, foreman, okay, you get another score for that. It's more of a volume business for me. So for those of you who do the deep dig and you see something that speaks to you, for God's sake, mention it, bring it up.
Yeah, because I've seen that with Daniel Cochran. He's got a pretty good back, but I know he turned his in like way at the end. But then I think I asked you about that. Those in the top 10 list, but he didn't make it, and he had a pretty good pretty decorated resume.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm taking suggestions, right? So in other words, and in particular, whoever our favorite was in April or May is probably long gone. It's probably somebody who's taken another position, right? And so I don't recall, I didn't write down, when did this one come in, right? I have to go back and see in the Indeed when they actually applied. And I think we're going to be some sad face on a few of those, on a few of the good ones.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because in the top 10, out of them 10, you could probably narrow it down to 5. But I know that guy Daniel, when I seen his resume, he would have made it within the top 5. That would have actually took one of the 5 out. He would have replaced that person. That's why I was wondering about this. It was pretty good. I don't know if y'all seen that one either. But I was surprised it didn't even make the list, being that he's more qualified than even if you crunch it down to the top 5.
Some of them, I think I might have said, based on the years of managerial experience, given a greater weight to that. Particularly because the job is really just, telling people to get it done. As opposed to, I don't think I found any financial and budget management types, unless that's all they did. Useless, no real life experience other than that.
So if I think that he might be somebody worthy to interview, how would I go about getting it within the list?
You just did.
Sir?
You just did. So what I'll do is, we'll do the outreach. I have solid 10. I would like to suggest that you look at my 2. We have at least one more. For God's sake, email me, call me, text me if there are other names that jump out. Especially when I give you the stack of paper. You're going to have homework. So I'll give you the 10, and I'll give you the extra 2, and I'll have to defer on Mr. Cochran. I don't think I printed that one. I'll get it out.
Yes, sir.
I'll get it out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So with that being said, I think next month we should have something. Go ahead.
Chair, real quick, in regards to the meeting dates,
Yes, ma'am.
the annual landowners meeting What time are we gonna start?
So to give them an opportunity, so they finished at 3, I'd say the board, maybe like 3:15 to start our annual meeting, so we don't interfere with what they're doing.
Okay, so so the regular landowners, because we don't have elections next year,
Okay.
we started it at 9.
Understood?
So are we doing at 3? So I just wanted to apply to the time.
I'd say 3 o'clock, give people an opportunity to get here from 3 to when we knock it out.
Yeah, so years ago, they used to do it from 7 to 5 instead of the 9 to 3 years ago. And then somewhere down the line, it went from 9 to 3 and it kind of like shortened it down. And I don't know if it's something that maybe we should open more, because a lot of people wasn't aware of the election. And I think if y'all went from 7 to 5 or even 7 to 3, it's better than doing 9 to 3.
What she said, to make sure we don't have an election. Tell you what we're doing.
Right, but the next election. No, I agree with that. No, I understand. But for the next one, if we could actually open it up more to where people could actually make time, because a lot of people, they couldn't, if it was open up earlier in the morning, they would actually come in, because I think the general elections, when do they start voting? 7. So I think Central County used to do it 7 to 5 back then, which we don't have to go all the way to 5, but at least give them a little bit more early for the people that could come in, vote, and then go on and do their stuff. Because some people had to rush back because they had stuff to do in the morning. So let's try to make it a little bit more convenient for the citizens to vote.
Yeah.
But the time for the meeting.
Let's just shoot for 3. If everybody's okay for next year, we'll start with 3. Anybody against 3 o'clock for next year? Annual meeting 3 till when we finish. 3 to 5, 3 to 6, 3 to midnight. All right, moving on. Manager, can you help me on this? Voted update, storm and drainage in Woodland area. I'm a little confused on that.
So Mr. Steve Dobbs, he's not here due to the storm and stuff like that, but just a quick update. He was talking about the Woodland drainage, after the storm on September 9th and 10th that we were hit severely in the Woodland area. And he spoke also with Mr. Cortez in regards to the flooding, and me speaking with our Ovid, which is our grant manager. This actually opened an opportunity to actually get more funding on a separate grant through the resiliency grant to help us with the funding to actually fix Canal 13 and the structuring of the drainage in the Woodland area. Because we did change out some of those big culverts at the beginning back in 2018. But there's a lot more that still needs to be done in that area. So it just kind of opened the door and for us to actually move forward and be able to apply for that grant. They'll just add it to the grant that we have. So that's something. And he was gonna bring it and just more insight. So I guess he can update us in November when he comes.
Any questions on my left? On that? Any questions from the right?
Yeah, so regarding that, I spoke to Steve about that because I drove back in that area and my truck's kind of big and it got pretty deep.
Yes.
So one of the things, like I was explaining to Steve, is that if we could elevate the road a little bit higher, there's a lot of people with their cars, they couldn't get out. So in any emergency, they're stuck. So the least thing that we could do is to elevate the road higher to where it's not as deep to where they could actually escape and then that become, a life-threatening problem. And so that's probably something that we could do prior to that, just so it's not saying that it's not going to flood, but if you have to get out, because imagine if we flooded and then, we have the tornadoes and all that stuff, you're not getting out of there, you're basically stuck. So that's something that we could do, prior to this ever happening again.
Well, and that's a great point, and that's what we have spoken on. With the resiliency grant, it's anything that's flooding, so if it is the elevation of our road, we can.
Is it a matching grant?
We qualify because of where we're at, in the sense of, and it's 100% payback.
Okay.
It's part of the resiliency one.
Okay, so
yes, sir.
So we pay it up front and then we get reimbursed.
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions or comments on that before we vote on it? Do we have a motion on the floor to vote on the fixing the drainage area in the woodland area? Drainage in the woodland area? You don't need a motion? So why do you got it up here? That's an update, okay. It says discuss and vote on update. All right. New logo for Central County Water Control District. Mr. Santiago, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, so we talked about it a meeting ago where if you look at our Central County Water Control District, it's not anything to do with Ventura. It's a map of Henry County. So I wanted us to, I created, well, not me. There's 3 different types of logos that it uses the same shape, so it won't cost too much, but the inner piece is totally different, and it's more centered around our rural farm area of Montura. No, okay. So the logo should have been addressed and given to everybody, but I guess I didn't send it in time for the agenda, so I apologize. So we'll make sure we'll table it until November's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Next, new app and website. Mr. Santiago, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, so the new app and website is to keep the transparency of CCWCD. The app you can download on your phone. It works with the county and the state level for if we have a hurricane or any tornado warnings, we can send out a notification, as well as it would notify you of all events that are happening in CCWCD. They cannot have no public comment or anything like that. It's just informational to keep you informed of what's happening here in Montura, as well as anything big, such as, there's a meeting and a tax increase, we can release it on there. So that's what the app and website work together. The website that we have now through GoDaddy has crashed multiple times, and very critical information has been lost or having to be put back up. This app and website is monitored by someone 24/7 because they work with multiple government agencies, and they are willing to staying on board with us to monitoring it, making sure that everything works the way it should, and informing the community as we want it to be informed with the transparency aspect. So I'm asking for a motion for us to approve it so that we can get rid of the old website and upgrade it to this one. Just keep in mind the Hendry County Sheriff's Office has done this locally with the same vendor, and all the other water control districts in the state of Florida have already moved with them and done this for transparency problems. So this will be to help us keep our transparency, but as well as everyone informed. So I'm asking for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Before we make that motion, any supervisors have any comments, questions?
What's the cost to it compared to what we got now? What's it on? Which one is it? Is it the set thing?
No, it's not Sarah. It's the OBC. It says OBC on it. This is
Okay, got it.
yeah. On the app and the website for the year is $7,400. And what we have now, I believe we pay like $5,000.
Okay, so
But we're not getting,
everything out of it that we should.
this is coming with the app and the website.
Yeah.
So it's like if somebody wanted to come in and have information about Ventura,
Yeah.
they can have the app downloaded in their phone. Everything will be updated, not only on the website, but on the app, and everybody can be updated with the agendas and everything
So
else.
this is gonna be managed from an outside party, or is it gonna be managed through Central County?
He puts it together.
Uh-huh.
He will teach us how to use it, because we have to upload the information. We still have to upload the information.
Okay.
So, but he will be the one that basically be helping us hand in hand on all ends.
And to answer that also, what Dobbs had said last one with a map of the roads and work that's being done, he can add that on there where citizens can click on their road and see what work has been done, have they mowed and stuff like that. And that was one of the biggest things that I asked Anthony, who deals with this, as well as Dobbs, if we can incorporate that onto the website and the app, and they both said yes.
Thank you. Any more questions before we make a motion? No questions from the board. Do we have a motion on the floor to approve the new app and website? We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Santiago. We have a second by Mr. Santana. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And next, we're going to discuss the GPS tracking, discuss and vote GPS tracking, I'm assuming on equipment and vehicles.
This was brought up a year ago, when I first became the chair, and it has got all the way here. I asked to put GPS tracking on every piece of equipment so that the city can see the transparency of the work that's being done throughout all 360 miles of road throughout Monterey, as well as the canals. The GPS tracking, I know that she presented us a couple different quotes, but I think it's very, very, very important that we look into some solution in approving it and allowing for question on an amount. But we do need to start implementing where the vehicles are at, where's the golf carts, where's the mowers, where's all of that, so that the office and the board of Central County Water Control District can present to the community that they are out there working. They're working on these miles of road, and this is what they're doing. Other water control districts do that, but they don't publicly put it on their website. That we can do if we do approve it. It can be on the website and the app, so people can see the transparency of where the machines are at and what they worked on.
Any questions on the board from my left before we make a motion? Discuss anything? Anything on the right? No? Do we have a motion on the floor to, and I'm assuming that's everything, every piece of equipment that we have? All right. To put GPS tracking on all pieces of equipment, machinery, and vehicles. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Santiago. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Moreno. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'm with it as well. All right, next on the agenda is the informational, I guess you're wanting us to vote on the informational booth at the clubhouse. Can you elaborate a little bit?
So this being something that was also on the agenda before Becky became the manager, I asked for the board to approve of putting a booth inside the clubhouse, as it's the heart of Monterey. So anyone new or anyone pre-existing that would like to get any information regarding any events or anything that we do, within the clubhouse walls, there'll be something there, such as a TV screen that can show all of the amazing work that the board and CCWCD has done with the summer camp, as well as many other events. We can advertise them there, here at the clubhouse. The booth is just to inform people who are not residents of Monterey to wanting to bring them here, as well as people who do live here. And that's simply what it is.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on my left? Any on my right?
Is there any, what's the cost to it? Did you put numbers to what it's gonna cost, or it's 500? That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. With that being said, do we have any motion on the floor to approve the informational booth for here at the clubhouse for people that come, or even residents, so they stay informed of what's going on? We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Santiago. Do we have a second? Oh, we have a second? Okay, we have a second. All in favor? All against? So there's two at the present moment. Two, so motion does not pass. Moving on. Discuss and vote resurfacing of asphalt roads. I think we brought this up many times, and I think we're waiting on the third quote. Ms. Hernandez, we got that third quote. I seen it in our packet. Can you speak and elaborate on the board before we ask questions and vote on it?
Yes, sir. All three estimates have been updated. I reached out to them. You have Her Homes. You have Saffold Paving, And then you have Diaz paving and asphalt. So looking at all three, you guys wanted apples for apples, because Diaz didn't give me apples for apples. This time he did. I just wanted to, as you see, I put a little update on those prices, where it says from scratch and striping. You have $232,450.25. That is basically from scratch. He's removing the old millings, he's removing everything, and he's laying a whole new inch and a half of.
Can you be more specific on what area?
Well, this is, we did the mile, and this is for hunting club as well as horse club.
From where to where?
From 833 to Hacienda Boulevard, to Hacienda Street, sorry. Each one, yes. So if we start from scratch on Hunting Club, from 833 to Hacienda Street, it's gonna be $232,450.25. So whether we start with Hunting Club or we start with Horse Club, it's gonna cost the same. And that's basically the same for each company.
And
What is the distance from 833 to Hacienda?
It's a mile.
So that's 1 mile. So we
Yes,
have enough in our budget to do 1 mile.
This is for the new budget, so yes, we would. Yes, we would have it.
All right, any other information you'd like to let the board know before we ask?
If we do an overlay, which is just the basic on the top, then it's gonna be 205 with 725 cents. So we're gonna save $23,000, but it's better, my personal opinion is to go ahead and do it from scratch. For 30,000, for another 23,000, it's gonna preserve the road a lot better, and then not, the deterioration of the other road is still gonna be underneath if we do an overlay.
If they mill that mile, are they gonna use it in their mix, or is that mill part coming to us?
Yes.
They're gonna use it in the mix?
No, they're gonna bring it to us.
So they're not gonna use that milling in the mix of the new asphalt?
No, sir. No, sir. It'll be fresh.
Understood. All right. Anything else you'd like to present to the board on that?
I have the 3 different quotes, and so I just would like for you guys to, her homes is 307,000, and then, Saffold paving is 238,000. So, I mean, we're still saving with Diaz Asphalt $7,000, $6,000.
Okay.
So,
Any board members to my left have any questions or comments?
Yes. I think it's a very good, I think it's a very good idea to do it because, like Becky says, do it deep work in there, not just the superficial job. Because Honky Club, which is your favorite road with the mother, I see you going up and down there a lot. My favorite road too when I come in 17. And you have a lot of holes in there, and they need to be repaired really bad. So I'm in favor of doing that.
Anybody else on my left, questions, comments?
So you did say that he was going to dispose of the milling at CCWCD? And he's charging us the same amount to dispose of it?
Yeah, because he's hauling it. We're not hauling anything. He's doing his job, he's just bringing it to us.
So what he's doing is milling it,
Yeah.
putting it in his truck with the conveyor, bringing the truck or the dump truck or whatever, and dumping it out.
Any questions?
The only thing I didn't see in this, I think we brought up at the last meeting was, or not, no, 2 meetings ago, the reflectors. There's nothing, I don't know if we have to have them, if we don't have to have them, ain't a problem, but if we do have to have them, I didn't see it in none of the quotes last time or this time.
What if it's not on the quote when we install it? So we keep it moving or we purchase it?
Yeah, because we don't want to put a kink in it, but if we have to, You know, if we could do it ourselves, however, I don't know what the up cost would be, but
Or maybe we buy it, give it to them, then we put it away, so we know after that.
yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal for them. All they can do is patch it and stick the glue and go on.
Can you ask Mr. Dobbs if that is required? What he's talking about is having the reflectors in the middle of the road. See if that's required, or just if the white has to be, I think they put some kind of sand together with some type of material that it lights up. Just ask on that. That's on the main 833. We're talking about Central County stuff. So just check, see if it's required. If it's required, maybe we can purchase it and have it included, and we turn it over so that they stick them on there. Any more questions from the board so we can vote on this? Go right ahead. You have a mic? The question that has is on sulfur paving. It's coming out of option one on the front page, and they have option 2 on the back, second page. It has related to the same horse club. No, Huntington. So are we doing both streets?
Okay, so what I did was the board asked me to get a quote on Hunting Club as well as Horse Club. And so they assessed both roads, and it's the same quote. The amount of what it's gonna take to do either road, it's a mile, and that's what they gave me. But they gave me Horse Club by itself and Hunting Club by itself. So if whatever the board decides, whether it's Horse Club or Hunting Club, to get done first, it was gonna reflect the quote, so I didn't have to come back again and ask the board, because we've already delayed this over 6 months. So I'm just asking, so we can move on the direction, whatever the board is gonna, so each company gave me Horse Club and each company gave me Hunting Club. And it's the same exact thing, and it's only a mile.
And one caveat, if I'm not mistaken, what I've seen, talking to Mr. John Boy's office, if we did go with the one vendor, he's willing to actually put on a payment plan if we have to.
Oh, yes.
So that's a caveat.
Okay, yes, thank you for reminding me. So Diaz Asphalt stated that he is willing to do the job, and he will do it monthly payments.
So how many months? Big year.
So we pay it off. He has a breakdown of it. But again, that's why I wanted to come to the board first, because if we have the money and we can just go ahead and pay it off, it's just get it off and get it done, instead of having the payments, you know, so.
I have no issue, but I'm just saying that's a caveat that most people
Yeah.
Well, how many months? Okay, it's gonna be years, or we need to have some kind of an estimate?
don't want his money in a year, though.
Yeah.
We want the money in a year.
Well-
One more question.
Mhm.
Any more questions from the board? None being said, can we get a motion on the floor to vote for resurfacing? And the next good question is, which one does the board want to resurface? Hunting Club or Horse Club? They're both in bad shape, so with that being said, can you make your motion? If you do make a motion, it's for which road? Which one, Mr. Santana, do you make a motion? So he makes a motion to do Hunting Club Road from 833 to Hacienda. Do we have a second? That's Hacienda, that's the one we're talking about. So we have a second by Mr. Santiago. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Moving on. Challenge qualification of candidate and investigation. Mr. Shaw?
Yeah, so Central County, their end date for qualifying was August 9th, and I sent an email to the manager on the 21st, which is 12 days after the qualifying period ended, and I asked who all qualified for the position, and at the time, she sent me an email that it was Ricardo Cortez, and then so then I asked her that since he's the only one that qualified, I'm assuming that he'd be the only one on the ballot. Well, she never replied back to me. So I ended up calling her and I asked her about it, and she said that she was gonna ask John about it because she had a question about him running for county commissioner and whatnot. So after I got off the phone with her, I called John. Excuse me?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Yes, Santana's qualified. Oh, I'm sorry, Santana. And so then when I called John, John said he had no idea of what was going on. So, and we fast forward, and then I didn't get a response for a while back from Becca, and I sent her one back on the 30th, and then she stated that there's 2 people running. They're already way past the qualifying period. And then John told me that supposedly that the slip got mixed up with some checks, and then some weeks later it was found, and I don't know what, and it turned into a big old mess. So the thing is that I have a lot of issues with that. So there's an investigation done, which all the board members got, and one of the biggest things that I questioned John about is that supposedly Kenya received the slip from Santana, right? And he never asked her the question. It was asked to you, and I told John that's not how investigations go. You got to ask the person that physically dealt with it. The other thing was that within the report it said that it was found 2 weeks later. So the thing is, then checks was sent for 2 weeks. Who didn't get paid for 2 weeks? It's kind of hard to believe that. And then the other thing that comes with that too is that within them 2 weeks, it's hard to believe that Kenya didn't say something to you about Santana running. And I want to make sure everybody understands this is not about Santana running. It's the issue with the process. The process is the issue. So we have a cutoff date of qualifying August 9th. There's no way anybody could get qualified 21 days later. Yeah. So officially in the morning. Yeah. So he was qualified on, give me 1 second, on the 30th, August 30th.
Who?
Santana.
Well, he signed the checks on the 8th, and that's when he turned in his qualification
To
the office, to Kenya with the checks. He was signing checks.
Okay.
So that page got with the checks. The checks we made copies of, and it was with the copies of the checks.
Okay.
So that's where a piece of paper sitting on her desk, while she made the copies, came back, started putting things together, that page got with the file, the paper, the checks that needed to be filed. I was not in the office at that day. Okay, even when Mr. Cortez came in to drop off his the paper the next day, I wasn't in the office either. I was running errands for the office. So when I came back, I did see Mr. Cortez's paper on my desk. So again, when you asked me the question, I believe it was August 21st,
that I called you.
yes, that you asked me about who were the ones that qualified for it. I told you, Mr. Cortez, because that's the only page that I saw. So when you said, so Santana wasn't running for it, and I said, I guess not, because I didn't have any physical.
But you did tell me that you was waiting for John to answer a question, and I called John right after that. So this is what I'm saying. What you're telling now is totally different. So this is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not changing.
But you're saying that. So, but I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It just where to stay on my point is that you're saying that you was assuming he wasn't going to run, but then whenever I asked you, you said, I'm waiting for John to respond to me because I wanted to know if he could still run because he was running for county commissioner. So if you didn't know that he wasn't running, why would you ask John the question the same day on the 21st?
Well, no, not the same day of the 21st.
Because I sent you the email, you didn't respond, and I called you. And I called John right after, he called me back at 7 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And I asked him.
So again, you asked me the question. I found the form after the fact.
Whenever I was on the phone with you, you said, let me look through his file. You said, oh, it's right here. So my question is, how did his slip end up in that? Somebody had to stick it in there.
Again.
And then it was magically found whenever I was on the phone.
It was not magically found. It's like I told you. When the copies of the checks are made, okay, it got within those checks and it got filed. She filed it and that was the end of it. I never saw the form. Again, the one that I did see, and like I stated in all of this investigation, was Mr. Cortez's. Because it was still on my desk, okay? And these things do happen. So again, Again, you guys, you directed it to me, all right? And so when I did find it, I asked the question, and it must have got filed with the papers, and it does happen. So I brought it up to Mr.
Camaro?
I told you first that I found the,
I was on the phone with you whenever you looked through it.
exactly, but that's what I'm stating. I went ahead and I looked. So again, when I asked about Santana, was because I have the physical form that it's there now. We were on there.
Okay, so this is the thing. That you're stating right there, that happened on the 21st. And I told you that any question you had referring to that should have been dealt with the 9th prior to the qualifying even ending. So then the thing is like,
We never spoke on the 9th.
I'm not saying, the
You spoke
qualifying period
again.
on the 21st I spoke with you.
Again, we spoke on the 21st. But again, from August 9th
To the
and
21st?
to the 21st.
Nobody knew that he was running.
When you asked me the question. But again, I was honest with you, and I said the only form of piece of paper that I had in front of me was Cortez.
And then the thing is that within them 2 weeks,
He came in.
Tanya, did you ever tell her that Santana came in and put in a thing to run? Did you ever tell her that he did?
Because I've done in a running, I don't know a lot of paperwork, I don't read what the factor training in my phone, I don't read what's not the training.
Yeah. So the thing is that, so this is the problem with the process. We've had issues back in 2018, we're having issues with it today. I mean, there's a lot of questions to be asked in this stuff and a lot of problems.
Watch this, Mr. Sullivan.
Let me finish, please.
They go on for like 10 minutes.
But that's okay, but I gotta finish my point. It's my agenda.
Let's go ahead.
So the thing is that this process needs to get better because okay, so let's say if I would have never emailed you or asked you, that's saying that whenever this election happened, Santana's paper would have never been found.
You're probably correct.
So this is what I say, it becomes an issue. So,
Okay,
Let's not go back.
okay.
no, because we gotta correct this process. This is the same problem that we had.
Board will correct it.
No, nothing gets corrected. Nothing gets corrected. So,
But she's not gonna answer. We're gonna move forward.
that's perfectly fine. I'm a board member. I gotta ask questions. And the thing is that this is how we get to something to actually figure out our problems.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put your team responsible here going forward for this process, not our team. You guys are gonna verify that the opening and closing is done in a certain manner, because we're being told as well, Mr. Self, that the gentleman who just won didn't turn his application in a timely manner. It was past the cutoff date.
Was it? Was Mr. Cortez's past the cutoff date?
Again, I wasn't there that Friday. So of course, Mr. Cortez is the only one that can answer it. If he turned it in before 9 a.m., if he turned it in before 9 a.m., then he qualifies. So again, I'm just stating, again, Mr. Cortez, you can answer if I was at the office or not when you turned in your form. I was not in the office, correct? Okay, so if he turned it in after 9 o'clock, then he's disqualified as well. So then nobody has a seat.
I'm making a legal complaint about
I'm just stating.
he was late in putting his application.
Huh? No, look, this is how this has to get fixed, 'cause this is an issue this community has been going through for 20 years. It happened whenever they're taking the fake names and all this stuff.
Walk behind. I was on time. I put it on the end. Okay? So while all this freaking out, I'm happy.
Hey, the truth will set you free, brother. The truth will set you free.
Election is okay?
So, here, going forward, as a board, hold on, Mr. Santana. Mr. Santana, hold on. So, as a board here going forward, so we don't have this happen again, we will turn over this process over to the attorneys that work for us so they can address to make sure everything's done. And you guys do the checks and balances because this has happened several. Listen, can I please speak? So this process doesn't happen again. Hold on, Mr. Santana, we hear you.
We'll have a procedure for next meeting. In other words, you can, if you like it, great, we'll turn it into a resolution and that'll be the way we do it. And that's, so, Mr. Mott, I have an agenda item for this. I could just do my 2 cents on that now. So sure, very simply, and so we did receive what sounded like a legitimate concern from Mr. Self about whether or not Mr. Santana's application had been submitted timely. And so the investigation was simply to ask how, if he said that he submitted it, then how did it get submitted and when did it get submitted? So we concluded that he turned it in and then it got lost. As a legal matter, that's fine. He would be able to sue us if we said, yeah, you turned it in on the 8th, but because we didn't dig it out until the 21st, you failed, you're disqualified. In other words, there's 2 sides to it. One of them is to look for impropriety, fraud, misconduct, obviously that piece. But the other concern is, okay, who's going to have a cause of action, right, because of a thing that we did? The biggest concern had to do with whether somebody who was denied the ability to qualify could file a lawsuit. All right, well, yeah, there's a legal mechanism for that. But in terms of remedying what appears to be an error, that generally gets treated as, did the application get in timely? If it did, and you do the wrong thing, in other words, you say, no, we're stamping it down, we didn't have full notice of it. Yeah, but if you turned it into the office, that's sufficient notice. So because it appeared that Mr. Santana's application was turned in on the 8th, all right, he's in the window. That was the conclusion. So I have 10 copies of the investigation report here. I'm happy to hand that out, or you can grab one, and I have enough for the public. This thing about whether somebody made the cutoff or not giving anybody legal advice, the way that generally gets handled is there is a legal claim, a type of civil claim that says, oh, I did qualify, I was elected based on the number of votes, and someone else was not qualified and should not be elected. I'm not advising the board on that. I work for the board, so if the board wants to sue somebody, I'll figure it out. But unfortunately, I can't advise any of you individually on how to proceed legally, but thank you. Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No.
Anybody else on the board wants to speak? No. I'll be there
So the one thing I want to make clear is, okay, so who's responsible for all that paperwork? Who's responsible for the process prior to somebody coming in here and voting? So remember, who's responsible for that? So make your claim, because you know who's going to pay for it? The one that's responsible for it.
You're responsible.
Hey, guys, I promise you I will have you escorted out of here. I'm not playing games. I don't care if you're a board member or not. I will have you escorted. If you can't act decently or orderly, I will have you escorted out of here.
So to piggyback on that, with that being said, for me and Chris's seat, we have to qualify way in advance. All of our paperwork has to be stamped, time dated, we get copies of it, the whole 9 yards. Due to the uncertainty of the date for Santana and then the time for the other gentleman, that means that the election from the beginning was not filed or properly documented. On a transparency aspect, because technically on a legal aspect for me and Chris, if we don't qualify on time, that's it, we can't run. And then if our paperworks are not submitted on time, but as you said, in fault of the office, we still have to submit it, that means the election from the beginning doesn't count because there's only one candidate, if I'm being correct. On a legal aspect of it, to prevent CCWCD from getting sued, correct?
No.
Okay.
Seats 2 and 4 have to.
No, I'm talking about the landowner seats.
Right.
If anyone in the community now that they know this as a public record, want to testify against or go against the election, we can be sued.
Okay, only the person who can claim that they would have been elected. So, in other words, a member of the public or a member of the public eligible for election who can claim that they're the one who's supposed to be in it. And again,
Right.
Not giving anybody legal advice, but in terms of how that claim would work, it would be that there's one person who says they should have been elected. They've identified another person, it's called the usurper, who was elected, and then there's the whole evidentiary process to figure out whether that is the case.
Right.
What I was surprised at is how much latitude the district has when it comes to running the elections for seats 1, 3, and 5. It turns out to be a lot. And for example, again, no legal advice. If both of the candidates, due to a technicality, were disqualified, the district could create an election right now. If there's a vacancy, meaning if there's a failure in the electoral process that causes a vacancy, the board can pick who they want to be. And the person who is on the board, who is contesting, can actually vote, because the landowner elected commissioners or supervisors are not subject to the conflict rules. But there's a number of unusual things that came up in the investigation that we put them in as footnotes. But the conclusion of the investigation was, at least as to Mr. Santana, that he submitted his qualification papers on time. But, did I answer the question? It's different for the landowners, a lot more latitude. Even if you said right now, this whole thing is a farce, we could figure out how to resolve it right now. Not true for seats 2 and 4.
No, I'm just saying on the dual thing on that, we have to submit our paperwork and stuff like that. And that's the only reason I'm asking for the transparency aspect of it. I think the process of this election, the community clearly said who they wanted in the seat on the rest of the board's understanding, but if that person should have never been put on the ballot, there's really no clear indication, because from the start, we don't know if anyone else submitted an application to run for the seat.
Sure, so for example, if you had 5 applications.
That's what I'm trying to get at is, we don't know if there was a clear understanding of how many candidates put in for it, because we have one application that was submitted late, we have one that was dropped off, but we don't have a timestamp and date of that. I don't want what has happened in the past, especially for these seats, to happen again, but in a different avenue. So what I'm saying is to the board, if no harm done, they vote again, let the citizens vote again the right way.
So who will be held responsible for this huge?
I think our attorney's office, our legal representative of the attorney's office should be the one dealing with the qualifications, dealing with the applications, dealing with all that, separated from any office staff or anybody, because these are people who dictate what goes on in that office.
This is an issue I have brought up for years. This is an issue I've brought up for years. In 2018, people came out and voted, and they put in fake names, fake ballots. Central County was never allowed to use absentee ballots. It's not in the charter. We reached out to the Attorney General, and we made a complaint. We forced legal here to do something about it. Whenever the Attorney General came back and said, you are not allowed to do that, all them fake names, Central County did nothing to fix that. That should have went to the courts. There should have been a new runoff, but Central County didn't want to do it because they got in who they wanted, because board members partook in that. That's already proven. Okay, so now, this is what I keep saying, this process needs to be fixed. So if there's something wrong with his or Santana's, that's what I said. It's not about Santana, it's not about Cortez. It's about the process and who's responsible for it. I've made that very clear. It's the process. It's not fair for the people to take their time, come out here and vote, and then this bullcrap happened. It happened in 2018, and then from there, that happened 20 years back, and now here we are, the same crap all over again. So now here we are again, and now one's trying to use it to claim victory. You know what? Be mad at the process and who's going to be held responsible for this? Not us, because we don't put this together. Somebody has to make this process work fair for the community. Who is that person?
So that's what I'm saying here going forward. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. I heard you. So here going forward, we take that responsibility. We put it on the subject matter expert, because obviously we're not good at doing this right here. These are what the subject matter experts do.
No question. I have an immediate concern, although, I'm just brainstorming here, about what you might lose in terms of the ability for somebody who is a local person, not particularly tech savvy.
Sure.
We need a time date stamp or something in the office, because I can imagine a situation where and you can help them by saying, no, don't give me that. Go to this website. Here's a computer. So we'll develop a process.
What we have is a couple years for another election, 2 landowner seats in a couple years. So we definitely have to have something just run out to the board, displayed, show us the ins and outs, how this will work. So again, what just transpired doesn't transpire again.
No problem.
Hey, Steve, legally, technically, I had no opponent because he was illegal. he puts up his application after the time that he has to put it. So legally, I have no opponent, okay? Because he put the application after the expiration date. That's the way I see it, the way it is.
Get back with the board and figure out what's going on so we can get this resolved so we can move forward.
Just remember, I can only be the attorney for the board, I can't be the attorney for individuals.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Moving forward, so you want us to vote on this, or you just bringing this up, Mr. Sutton?
Well, I wanted to vote for something to be investigated. That was my main thing.
Sure.
What it is, but I guess that's
I think, we have a bigger hold on a second. So we have a bigger investigation. We're gonna go through all this first, and if you want to put something on. Motion on what?
To have them oversee and do it again.
I want to, but we have to put that on P, bro. We have to put that on P. We just can't add this to the agenda just like that.
Sure. It sounds like we have two issues. One of them is whether or not we are going to take over the process for receiving the qualifications for the landowner elected supervisors going forward. That seems like a separate item. And then what it is that the board wants to have done about the possibility of discrepancy, which again, I can tell you, it takes the form of a lawsuit by an individual. There's almost nothing that we can do because it's going to a lot like what we did for Mr. South, which is to ask somebody a bunch of questions and say, do you believe it? There's no lie detectors. There were no sworn affidavits. It was, investigatory, but not legal in that sense. We don't have the subpoena power.
So hopefully, like everybody's talked about, we have people that are of integrity and they do the right thing. If that is the case, but we'll let you do what you got to do.
So tell me again just tell me my task, other than the thing about...
if I'm not mistaken, look into this as a board, look into what's going on right here, let us know how we lie. If this was legit, let us know if this is legit. If people still have questions, comments, concerns, they do what they have to do. You speak on behalf of the board, not behalf of the board member. You speak on behalf of the board.
Yeah, okay. On behalf of the board.
On behalf of the board, not any board member. You speak on behalf of the board.
I have a question.
Understood.
I have a question. He put his application. After the expiration time, he is disqualified. The way it is.
He's going to look into that, Mr. Santana. We have to move on for that, bro. Thank you. So, discuss vote on pre-post hurricane season storm management plan, Mr. Sell.
Yeah, so one of the issues that we have is that, we end up with a lot of flooding. It's not something that anybody here created recently. It's something that's been going on for a long time, but hurricane season officially starts on June 1st. And I think anything prior to that, Central County should have some type of pre-storm plan. So going from December all the way to June, there should be ditches being dug. There should be everything that's preventative instead of reactive. Prior to any hurricane season, Central County should be going out and cleaning out the front of culverts and going out road by road and identifying problems prior to the problem happening. You go down the road, Sendero off a Horse Club, you see there's 5 culverts, you see one is very badly damaged, it has the wrong elevation, you put your eyes on it, you put it on the list, so whenever you show and the whole road is inundated and flooded, you already know where the possible problem is, even though that you can't really see it, so it's already identified, and it'll help, within the future plans with all that. So I would like to see the board put together some type of pre and post. So prior to hurricane season and any type of storms, Central County should be doing, ditches. They should be cleaning out culverts, putting eyes down on these roads, identifying trouble spots. And then even after the storm, whenever there's flooding, they should be going out and still looking at all these roads and figuring out why one's flooded. It could be because of a ball stuck in it. It could be because of a wrong elevation. So you're going to learn 2 things before and after. And that's something that Central County needs to have. And I think that plan has to be put together by the board and then have the manager execute that plan.
What about this, Mr. Self, and the rest of the board? I'll give the board opportunity. I'm not in a disagreement. My just question is what you're saying, that should be being done on a daily basis during the whole year so we know where we're at before, pre, and post storm. What are you opposed that? I'll let the subject matter experts, Dobbs, come up with that, deliver it to the board, and we give the direction to the staff that's there. And they, because what I would like to see, and I'm pretty sure yourself would like to see, what are our problematic areas that are acute and need attention now, and what, and that might switch during the year, right? This one might fall off, this one might go into, this one we have to address immediately. But I was thinking, in my opinion, thinking about having Mr. Dobbs deliver that, the engineer, him deliver up what needs to happen, and then we give that direction to the manager, and on a monthly basis, they give us that feedback. Are you opposed to anything like that?
No, I'm not opposed to that. It's just what's the timeline gonna look like? How long before he delivers that?
So let me ask you, I think I've asked Becky
I think I asked the acting manager to address that with Mr. Dobbs to see what he can bring up to us. I'm not sure if she has that or if it's gonna be presented, but I've been diligently asking for that to happen so we can, all these concerns that our community have been bringing up, including myself, that they can start getting addressed. Stop kicking the can down the road as most people have told us.
So Mr. Dobbs is working on that master plan, looking at the areas that are troubled the most in our area, with Diane, which is his assistant, and they're working very quickly on it as well. So I'm pretty sure he was gonna bring something because he talked about the woodland drainage. So I don't know what all the details are because like I said, during.
So can we ask this, Mr. Self, if we can be patient? Can you get with Mr. Dobbs and him send out the emails or present to us what he has, how he's gonna address it, so we can ask these questions behind the scenes with him, this, that, and the other, so we can have a nice, sure plan going forward. Any objections with that, Mr. Self? Anybody else on the board have any questions on that?
Let him know.
Anybody else on the board to my left have any questions? Thank you for that comment and concern. Also, up next is discuss and vote public comment, Mr. Shep.
Yeah, so I brought this up quite a few times. I think a lot of the community members would like to actually ask us questions prior to voting on a lot of the agendas. Hendry County does it, and I think that the community's First Amendment to be able to voice their opinion is very important, and I know that's something that has been brought up many times about allowing them to speak, and it's always got shot down. And I think that it's time to bring it back up and allow for public comment to be brought up during agenda items, because to me, public comment at the beginning is if you have a complaint, you want to talk about something that's not on the agenda. But then if you want to talk about the agenda, we'll say, you can say whatever you want, but then you speak about it, but then they can't talk on it, on what they think about it. And I just don't think that that's fair for this community. So what I want to propose is to allow them to speak during the agenda, on agenda items as they come up. We could give them 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, 3 minutes. And I know that there was comments before from some of the board members that if we do that, we'll be here till 12 o'clock. The ones that run these meetings to 12 o'clock is us, not them.
absolutely correct.
So,
It's not on the community.
and that's why I want to make sure to reiterate on that we're the ones that run these things. So that's my proposal.
Any comments from the board before we make a motion and vote on this? Anybody on this? Can we get a motion on the floor to adopt, allowing the community members to speak on anything that's going to be voted beforehand, by the public comments? During the agenda, exactly like what we're doing now, before we vote on it. Hold on one second. Absolutely. All the way to O, yes, sir.
And we give them 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
For the question or the concern, and then.
And their concern,
Follow that.
yes, sir.
So if this was to play out right now, what I just proposed,
They would speak on
they
it.
were going to say,
Yes,
we
sir.
agree with it, we don't agree with it.
I have an issue with such and such, this, that, and the other. Yes, sir.
And we get their input, because maybe they could influence us to make a different decision.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what's
We
said.
work for them, but we gotta listen.
Mr. Santana?
I don't like that idea. Things gonna be gracious, we're gonna be talking, and then y'all will make a statement, and then the way that we have it now is the right way, and that's what it's implemented in all the municipalities in Florida. Been many meetings, Hialeah, Miami, County, City of Miami, they have implemented the law, and the county, they haven't implemented the law.
No, actually, the Henry County is different. Henry County is different.
Well, I don't like it that.
So, anything else on the left-hand side? With that being said, can we get a motion on the floor to approve that the committee speak on before we vote on a comment on what's going to be proposed to vote on. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Santiago. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor? Anybody opposed? So we have 4-1, if I'm not mistaken, approved. Motion carries 4-1. Thank you. Moving on, discuss and vote abandonment alleyways. That's already been taken care of, right?
I'll set it up,
Yeah.
and then you'll get the individual
Very
applications.
good. All right. All right, so I've got 2 more and then a possible repeat. So we're going to end. That's the ones I spoke on in the beginning. I'd like to get a position going forward. We have some vacancy. I'd like to use that position. Listen what I'm saying, board. Listen what I'm saying, community. Is use that position to start using our equipment to excavate. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the questions. I just know we need staff to start working on this so we can diligently get in a team approach. And this person that the board approves will solely, independently and thoroughly work on swells and ditches. That's his, only he or she, or whatever we call it now, that's exactly what they will work on. By the board. The board will be giving this direction to the district manager, and that person is to fully focus on the swells and ditches. That's coming from me. Any discussion about that, comments or concerns, the floor is open. Anybody on my left?
So we're taking a position that's been paused and using that budgeted income or salary for this new position.
That's what I'm talking about, yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a theoretical. If that position is to be resumed, then we have to create the new position for the swell person at that time? The position that you're looking to liquidate and move to the swell, let's say the swell operator. If that position that was on pause needs to be resumed, who's gonna pay for the?
So that's a good question. My personal opinion, we still need an executive assistant, he or she, right? Of the personal opinion, I don't think we need a director and an assistant. I believe we need a director, manager, whatever it's called, and then we have an executive administrative assistant, he or she working for that manager. So I'm not talking about eliminating the position. I'm talking about utilizing that position because it might be another 4 months the way we're going. Could be another year. And we need to address this issue and the concern. So I would say use that salary to use that. And then if we want to make another assistant director, again, I'm only one person on this board. We can discuss that or turn that into an executive assistant. That's what I'm saying. Any comments, questions on the left-hand side? Mr. Shelton?
Yeah, so is there anybody in Central County right now, worker-wise, that's knowledgeable enough to take that on? Instead of hiring out somebody else or getting... So, and then the other thing too is this new position, what would that pay?
So we would probably go out and contact a few people, see what with the qualifications, just like any organization does, see what that pay scale is. With the qualification that we as the board say, hey, that person must have this qualification, CDLs, whatever, and then we have to set the baseline, starting, mid, and max according to their qualification.
So we already have an engineer.
Yes, sir.
The engineer should be able to pass down the projects to management. Management should be able to direct the employees that are knowledgeable in that and still get it done. So it's kind of like you're almost creating like a project manager kind of deal. It's not officially a project manager, but they're going to pretty much be a project manager because that's going to be a project that needs to be managed.
So I really want to discuss it, but as you see it, as well as I see it, Becky is doing the best that she can with what she has. I don't think what we see is our team is not only a surveyor, he's a dump truck driver, he's this, that, and the other, carrying multiple hats. So what she's doing is attacking what she thinks that needs to be done. So as you well know, as well as I well know, and is well documented, nobody has attacked the excavating, the cleaning of the ditches, putting the grade right. Nobody has done that. So we're going to create that, work with the engineer, create that job, and then turn it over to our manager to make sure that it gets done and it gets reported.
So why hasn't that been attacked yet? Because you said that it's never been attacked. Why not? I think we got plenty of people in position to do that, but now you're saying that it has not been attacked. So does that mean that we don't have the right people to carry on?
So you've been on the board for a year, you answered that question.
What's that?
You've been on the board for over a year.
Well, look, my thing, I specialize water management. I've been in water management for 18 years of my life. I understand the processes. The thing is that there's a lot of workers there today. How many workers? 11? 10? So there's 10 workers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the thing is that we keep creating these positions. The overtime is way out there. Then we're going to end up having to amend now our salaries and all that stuff. That's going to end up being an issue somewhere down the line. And I don't see why we have to hire somebody new to come in to manage ditch maintenance whenever they say they got highly skilled workers, and I'm not talking about the workers so nobody turns what I'm saying, don't twist it out of what it is. So the thing is that the workers have to be able to know what's... So you go down the road, you have the guy that does the surveying, right? He should be able to go there, go to the edge of the road, shoot his elevation, do his cut 2, cut 1, figure out the elevation. From there, take it 1,000 feet. Every 100 foot, you take a tenth off. It's common sense. Anybody that does this stuff, that has done it for many years, it's just repetitive work. There is going to be some leaps and bounds depending on driveways, trees, utility, any phone lines and stuff. All that comes with it. But the problem is that this is something for a really big place. I don't see where we need something like this here whenever we have plenty of workers that should be able to take up this task with their, like you said, subject matter experts. So we have that is Mr. Dobbs. And then we have employees that they should be subject matter experts at their job.
So
That being said, if we're complaining now about overtime, I don't think we're truly in the trenches with our team to see what they truly do. I think if we were entrenched with them and see what they really do on a daily basis, you would see that they need help. I go down there and speak to them and they say, Mr. Mata, I'm carrying many hats here. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm being hammered by the board. I'm being hammered by the community. And I need help. So it's our responsibility, as God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, we should do more listening than talking. So my thing is, I'm listening to our team, and I'm glad of what we have. And they're stressing to myself, and I hope you guys are over there talking with them as well. They're saying we need help.
So this is the thing. Ditch maintenance has been done here before years ago. Grader, you go with your guys, you do the center of your ditch, you get your elevations, you figure out your right-of-ways, you center your road, the toe of the ditch. All that has been done before without a project manager and with less employees. The load was carried by them employees at that time.
how many rentals were back then?
No. The ditches doesn't change. Listen, if there could be 50 people down that ditch, the only thing that's going to change is how many culverts is down there. So it's the same thing like the mowing. Okay, we got 100 miles of roads and canals and stuff. As you mow 100 miles, as more people move in, you're not going to be buying batwing mowers. You're going to end up going down to zero turns because people are going to maintain the front of their homes more. So it's going to be less work. So we're going to slowly start getting away from these bigger machines. So it's the same thing like the ditches and stuff. Once you do these ditches, it's going to be good for quite a while, and it's the same thing over and over and over, and it was done before back then. And I'm not for stressing out workers and them carrying, having to wear 10 hats, but the thing is that there's more workers now, but the thing is, why has one ditch never been cut? So if a project manager or this position is stopping it, then how was it done back then without this position with less workers and less equipment?
So can we focus on...
I'm good, so we're going to keep moving so we can vote, and I appreciate your 2 cents. But I'm just seeing what we see now. I'm seeing what they're being asked of us, and I'm seeing what the community is telling us. So obviously, we don't have it right now because it's not being done. Correct?
But why isn't that?
Again, us as the board have to address that. Again, but you've been on the board for a year as well, and you haven't addressed it, or made it, or addressed it, or there's something hasn't come about. Hasn't come about these swells. What swells have been cleaned in the year you've been here? What swell has been addressed in the year that you've been here?
Okay, so the only one, so I asked this question multiple times about the swells. And you go back even before I sat on this board, I asked the question. Then when I got on the board, so whenever I asked the question, okay, it was answered pine cone. So what was it? So I said, what did y'all do? They said, we sweeped it out 3 inches. I says, okay, did you shoot elevation to see if you're going 3 inches too deep, or is it going to be 3 inches too high? Because they said, oh, we do it every other year. So in 2 years, if you cut out 6 inches, you might have to add 9 inches to get it to the right elevation. I've asked this question before. It's on the record. That's what I have done. I've asked about it multiple times, and now here we are, you know. So now,
Here we are.
so the thing is, why can't it get done? We don't have,
So you've been here a year, that's what I'm trying to say.
I've been here more than a year.
Exactly.
And I've asked the
That's what
question.
I'm saying, you've been here more than a year.
So, this is what I'm trying to say. It has never been done. Why? Why hasn't it been
So
done?
why hasn't Mr. Self, the
It's-
board member, addressed it and gotten it done as well?
I have asked about it. I'm one. I tried to vote on getting the ditches and stuff done.
But I'm telling you, but you're part of the problem as well. Everybody on this board is a part of the problem. Because what I'm trying to tell you, Mr.
Self, board member Self, you're a part of the problem as well. We're here. And we haven't changed. Nothing has changed. So what we're doing is not working. That's the definition of an insanity. So what we're doing is not working. That's just my comment, just like you're entitled to your comment.
So with that, before she became the manager, when Flocka was the manager, I did have the board in agreement to our covert policy about going down all the roads with the swells and the ditches. The board approved it to getting done. And then we had a lot of hit back from the community of why we stopped doing roads. So when Flocko came to the board, he asked the board for approval of more material for milling, and the board approved it because MATA had pushed and said, hey, we were working on the swells to preventive of all of the flooding, but the community's outbursts and the community's concerners are their roads. So they started pushing on the roads. When Flocko had left short notice and Becky became the interim manager, she jumped on roads. And that's all she's been working on were roads. Now we come back to the problem of the flooding. It was brought up to the board did approve it to start working full force. All the men and women were gonna be working on swells, no road, and the community didn't like that. The community said, oh, we need to go back to the road because the roads are in decay. But it was approved.
Hurry up so we
So Central County is responsible for three things: road, drainage, and recreation. So which one has the highest priority? Roads, drainage, or recreation?
All three.
One has to prioritize. One has to prioritize. Yes. And well, you gotta think about it. So if your road is bad, so take Woodland area. Okay, the road could have been in the worst shape, but people couldn't even get out because of the flooding. Flooding causes a lot of financial problem to the community and to us. So that's what degrades our roads whenever there's no drainage off the sides of our roads. That's why our asphalt roads are getting damaged. So this is what I'm saying. Drainage is always going to be, and I can speak a lot on this because I have 18 years experience in this. You know, I'm not no subject matter expert, but this is the thing, and this is what I do. So the thing is that drainage is always going to be the one thing that's going to threaten people's life. Roads, destroyed roads, does have a hazard, but not bigger than drainage. Drainage is the biggest thing. We are a water control district. Remember that. Okay, so the thing is that we got to try to minimize that as much as we can. And then the thing is, what good is this to work on roads whenever it floods and then it gets destroyed? What do? Zero. Nothing. Keep that in mind.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying.
Mr. Self, board member, you've been here over a year and the team has not addressed the swells. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't believe that position is
That's,
going to be the thing.
and you're welcome to your opinion. So with that being said, is there a motion? Anybody else have any comments before we?
I agree with the position.
Any comments, concerns? So do we have a motion on the floor to make a position that works on excavating the ditches and the swells? We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We have one opposed. Mr. Moreno, opposed or against? You have to vote, brother. I'm sorry. This is America. 4-1? 4-1. And on this one going forward is a lot of the community here utilizes this clubhouse to play soccer, and a lot of them have asked me if we can start up a league solely for Montura. With that being said, I'm asking the board if they think that's a great idea for us to do that. The floor is open for comments.
So we approved, a while ago, we approved for a $60,000 baseball field to start a league. And we also approved for the upgrade of the soccer field, and many other recreational things here at the clubhouse. And this was with our former manager, Flacco. These projects were supposed to start, coming into our new budget, but that never happened last year. We just kept going on with it. So the board did approve of all that about a year ago for them to do that, and it went as far as that.
Understood. So can we get does the board think it's a good motion to put for the soccer?
Who do you propose is gonna coordinate it? And I can't, conflict of interest, they say.
I'll take it on the chin, and I'll reach out to all the people that really want to get involved in this community. I'll do for the kids, and we'll see all the other. I believe a lot of community members will come out to support this soccer league for our kids and for our young adults as well as our citizens. I'll take the bull by the horns, and I'll nominate some other people as well.
One thing I want to bring to the board.
Yes, sir.
What about the jump park? We voted in favor of doing the jump park.
Yes, sir. But let's talk about this first, though. We have to do this first, but we can bring that up. Any more comments about the soccer league? Do we have a motion on the floor to us to start our own soccer league in Montura? We have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Santana. We have a second? We have a second. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries. I think there was another one. Those are my two that I added in the beginning.
Something about electing the chair and vice chair. We got it.
Okay. Is there anything that we need to discuss? Did we miss, Becky, before we move on? Anybody on the board want to put a motion in for something? Before you discuss, you can discuss that when it's time for your supervisor report. Okay, with that being said, we have nothing else to old new business. Moving on, district manager report.
Okay, so a lot of our grant stuff from the month of September through October, due to these 3 storms that we were hit with, kind of subsided. Mr. Steve Dobbs, though, has been, we've been working with, on the staff gauges. They will be installed, the poles will be installed, and then Hal Bennett will be installing them. So, and he does have the boards and everything, so that's gonna be taken care of. Once I have a date, I will forward that to the board, okay? When they're gonna be installed, that he's gonna reach out to us. The Henry County grant, also, a lot of our meetings were canceled due to these storms. The pumps were running, like I said, clutch 9, the clutch on pump 9 has been fixed. All of the pumps are running, okay? The levee, what we did with the levee was, as some community members saw us working up there, we were fixing the levee. We were using the millings to seal it on the top of the levee, because we tend to run through there when it, like with the storm, instead of having to go around through the gate, the guys have used the levee. And there was some real bad washouts that were happening. So in order to avoid that, they filled it in with the lime rock, and then we used the millings on top to kind of make it like a road, so it's more sturdier and it's not destroying the sidewalls of our levee or anything of that nature. And I did talk to Mr. Dobbs about it, if that was conducive of us doing it before we did it, and he said that that was it was a good idea. So on the Canal 9, of course, everything has stopped. due to the excavator. The excavator is almost done. We're doing the maintenance right now, and then it should be up and running, okay? Millings, we just started getting millings coming in, so we're getting into our winter season, and it's where we try to work as much as possible on our roads, as well as on the changing of our culverts. So that was one thing that we tackled last year. We started working on the culverts because we have the grant where they pay us back that money, okay? So in this quarter, we really didn't hit a lot of the culverts that we wanted to because of rain. But that is something that is already for them so that they can review and we can get our money back. So a lot of that is in there. Also, I've gotten emails from FEMA stating with the last two storms with Helene and Milton, if they have like certain things, if we qualify for it, we can obtain FEMA funds back for that. And I believe one of them was for the flooding, which we do have the evidence and I have all the pictures of that. So I'm going to submit that in for us to see if we can obtain some funding back as well. Okay, so, and that would hopefully, it didn't say anything about like time or anything, but at least if we can get some stuff back, I think every bit helps for our community. We did do some repairs on road repairs, which was Avenida del Club and Esprigo. We started on Hunting Club and Breed on the north end. The south end is really bad. It's something that we're going to address. I'm still going off our list. We did some patch-up work, and when I say patch-up work, we use lime rock just to fill in some potholes and stuff that we could get to before the storm. And as it dried up after the storm, it wasn't much. And they were just hot spots, basically. So the guys did that before the storm, so in case we did get flooded or whatever, it wasn't as bad. And we picked up the debris after the storm. When we had that little tornado that hit, that took a few trees down, the guys, the minute that it was over, we assessed the roads. We did the assessing of the roads with Helene as well as with Milton, just to make sure that everybody had a clear path through that. So the mowing has picked up. I've had all three mowers going. Okay, the small one and the two 6120s are out, which are the bat wings. So, and like I said, we did start with the boom mower, and they did all the trees from, like I said, from Mantura, from Zambria up to Cana, and on both sides. So that's been done, and the debris has been picked up. I think there was just a small part, if I wasn't wrong, on Friday that he couldn't finish on Zambria, but all the debris was picked up. So we had the team picking up behind them. So that's been done, and then we're gonna move from Cano to Quebrada. We're doing it in sections, so that way we're picking up after we go, so we're not doing that. What we found with the mulcher, as you use the mulcher, what happens is that as it's mulching, if it hits a big branch, it breaks those teeth so easily. It's okay for like the Brazilian pepper trees, but if it catches a big one, it's out of commission. So we've been using the boom mower. So that's what we've been using. And he's been also doing the swell up on the side as well. So that, until the mower comes, and then the mower will just continue to mow on the side. Because there was a lot of water, and the water is drying up. So that's why he's been able to do this. So we've had a lot, 26 new permits. We had 20 pre-existing. That means that people are selling their properties and people are buying properties. So on top of that, we've had the inspections. We had over 20. The potholes, as we mentioned, Hunting Club, Horse Club, Mantura are also really bad. So the trash pickup, bulk trash, everything's just, as you stated, and you guys have seen, there's been some bulk garbage. So, and we've been picking it up. Our sheriffs has helped out. We were able to obtain one individual, and I did get it weighed and everything, so that I will be turning in that invoice to the sheriff's office from the time. See, people don't understand that as they throw trash out their windows or they throw bulk trash around, we have to stop our day-to-day from what the guys are doing to go and pick up this trash, even dead animals. I had I think it was a dead goat in the middle of Appaloosa, and when the guys went to go pick it up, it blew up. So it went all over the equipment, so right there, you got 3 hours down because we're picking up somebody's mess, and people don't look at that in our community, so that's been a very big issue. They throw dressers and all different kind of things, tires, and then we have to stop, we're picking it up. Yes, it's our job, but it's not our job to do the bulk pickup. That's why we pay Waste Connections, the money that we do on our taxes, so you can put it right in front of your house and they can pick it up. They'll tell you, if I can't pick it up, then they'll come back the next time, and they should be able to pick that up. We're not like the city of Clewiston, we're not like LaBelle, we are on a schedule with Waste Management, with Waste Connection, sorry. And they're supposed to do this. And when they fail to do that, the guys that are picking up the garbage and changing signs and stop signs and stuff like that, they have to call me so that we can go ahead and stop what somebody else is doing because it's causing a hazard to anyone that comes down that road. On Camino Real and by Mayoral, they delivered some millings at night and it ended up on Camino Real. I got a phone call at 11:06. This just happened. This just happened on Friday. I was just getting back. So that's why I'm telling you now because you did not receive anything from me. This just happened. It was almost midnight that the sheriff had to call me. And I had to get one of the guys out of bed to come and put the loader and move the material. This just happened Friday morning. So, and again, I have been doing errands and running around trying to make sure everything else was done. But our community does this. And then we're picking it up. And it's taking us out of our norm from doing what we have to do on our day-to-day maintenance. It's not an excuse, but I've seen this all the time. And it's been since the beginning of time. This is not new in our community. But you know what? There's people that see them doing it and they don't say nothing as well. But they're the same ones that are complaining about their road. And again, that's, as you guys have seen, we put in a new pump for the pool. And we got the new filter system. I sent you guys an email that stated, if I'm not wrong, I did remember telling you guys about the pool and that the pool was down in our last meeting in August. And so that's up and running. The inspector hasn't came back out because we are working on that landscaping and cleaning up that area. And until he's done, we have to do a good cleaning on the inside before we get the inspector to come back out. I mean, the first thing he's gonna say is there's dirt is the pool. So, and we are getting to the point where our pool closes at the end of the month as well. November, the first week of November is closed. That's when we close it for the winter. Well, you're asking about if we leave it open. It was open to the public once it passes inspection, but for the winter, you guys never decided if we were gonna do a 24 all year round. You guys did not vote on that.
Okay.
All you voted was that they could come without the lifeguard to swim. But you guys did not vote if you wanted it to be open
During winter time.
during the winter time, correct? Because most pools do close for the winter to be able to do the maintenance and anything else that needs to be addressed at their pools. And we don't have a heated pool either for winter. So let's just say if the temperature here in Monterey just went down to 40, but our pool is, let's say, 29, and they decide to go swimming, and somebody catches a cramp and ends up in the bottom of the pool. Who's responsible?
It's open and even in the summer, no lifeguards, so the cramps coming in.
But what I'm stating is though, that's our proper time for the cleaning and the maintenance to get it ready for the spring break, and then after that, every weekend after that.
So the pool's gotta be be opened up anymore this year, it's basically gonna be closed, I'm assuming.
Yes, I'm gonna say yes, because again, the landscaping and when Mr. Keith comes back out, he's almost done with the landscaping. So let's just say I can get him in next week, it'll just be a weekend left open.
So is he gonna come out, inspect the pool, make sure everything's good, so then by next year,
He's gonna come back again. He'll come back out before, the, spring break.
yeah,
He'll come out before spring break again. He'll come out now to make sure that everything was done, and then he'll come back out again prior to spring break to make sure that the flow meter and nothing else has happened in that meantime.
is all that working good?
Yes, yes. If you go look at it, it's clear and it's beautiful. You can see it. It was the filter system itself. We have an old filter system, but to be able to change that is like basically ripping it out and doing something on the, so.
I know one of his biggest concerns was that was him pouring the chemicals into the pool, and if somebody was to get in there, they'd end up with a chemical burn. And that's something that we need to make sure, because I asked for all the inspections, and there is a lot of problems. And hopefully now with the new inspection, a lot of the problems will go away. But if they're not, and I would, if I was you, I'd forward all of them to the board members so they kind of see what's been going on for the last year.
I can forward them all the inspections.
Where our problems are, because
Yeah.
we have a budget for the clubhouse to fix all that stuff. I know some of it we have to vote on the permit for the pump and stuff like
Correct.
that.
It's a brand new pump, it's a new filter system. Everything started flowing like it's supposed to. We put the flow meter that he told us to, and now it's like, that's not it. Okay, so when you see the flow meter and it says that it didn't pass, he can't fail us for the flow meter, just so you understand. He can put that it's not reading as what it should.
It's just a violation. But not,
He can't close it down. The only thing he can close it down is if the pH on that is not flowing like it's supposed to. And like you said, chemicals, okay? The chemicals and everything is there. The minute that the new pump went in and the new filter system, it started flowing perfectly. So it was just probably dying out, and we were changing the impeller on it to kind of keep it open for our community, and doing what we could to keep it open so that they could enjoy it during the time. But now it's working.
yeah, that was, because I've spoken to him quite a few times, and his biggest concern was that these are things that should be done, and it's been over a year, and now they're kind of getting addressed. So like he said, he wasn't trying to give anybody here a hard time, he was more worried about the safety of the community, because he says to open the pool up, and there's a safety concern could become an issue, so they're trying to work to not close the pool down, but he said at some point he's gonna have to just close it down before somebody really gets hurt. That's why he highly advised that the point of the chemicals in the pool, that cannot be done. If somebody goes in there and damage your eyes with the chemicals, then we're gonna have a huge liability, and then he will be in trouble for allowing this to go on.
So on that respect to that, when they do the pool maintenance, it's early in the morning when they come in. So if they did have to do that, it was way before, and the chemicals are checked before the pool's open. So the pH balance is correct before anybody in the community comes out and gets in the pool. If it's off, they cannot get in. So just so you know that if, I understand his yeah.
What are his recommendations?
No, but his worry, like he stated, that's what I'm stating. So before anybody can get into the pool, the pH balance has to be correct.
And that's why the system, that's why I say that after about 12 o'clock, the pH drops.
It drops,
So
correct.
that's why in the morning, he knows if he tests, it will pass, but past 11, 12, 1, but it will go below the recommendation, and that's why he's saying that the system has to be fixed. Because if that doesn't get fixed, it will fail every time. And that's why I said that if they was able to get all the meters and stuff going, then all that will go in there, keep them from having to close the pool, then, the community is the one that's not gonna go to use it.
So that's been corrected, yeah. Yeah, you've seen everything that we've done. We changed the controller, we did everything to make sure that this doesn't continue, okay? But again, we know chlorine does eat away at everything. The other thing that I spoke to Mr. Dobbs was about ventilation for the which the board had approved already to, work on that building.
Or the chemical room?
Yeah, the chemical room on the inside. So I did talk with Mr. Dobbs about that, and that is part of the action plan for what we said about phasing out here at the clubhouse, okay? So I did bring that up. I just wanted you to know the cancer walk went great. We have our golf tournament coming up next Friday, and then we have our Harvest Festival on November 2nd from 11 to 3 here on, in our park. Okay, it's something new. I have a few community members that are donating and stuff like that, and we have another community member that's bringing their horses to give horse rides and goats so that the kids could pet them. And of course, we'll have our bounce houses, cotton candy, and everything else we do for our community. I was trying to get food trucks to come out so people could purchase the food instead of us taking it out. Let them come out, enjoy themselves, like if it was a fair. You see? So, and that's basically everything on my behalf. The engineer report, I already went over this earlier. This was the annual report. So, the treasury report. Page 6, yeah. I told Marie that Mr. Boyd goes over page 6 most of the time. That's where you guys ask most of the questions from. So I'm just gonna hand it to her.
On the treasury report.
Okay, as of September 30th, 2024, on the cash basis, there's $408,000 in revenues over the expenditures, and that does include the purchase, not financing, the purchase of the 2 pickup trucks. And we have also recorded the purchase of the roller, which was $161,000. Those are included in that $336,391. And just because it looks like it's over budget over there, John is going to make some reclassifications in conjunction with you guys whenever you get ready. The $250 for the 5 trucks is still sitting there, and we've got those other items that can be reclassified against the 296. So overall, there's money there. It just needs to be reclassified. Okay, so. That's all I
Hi. My highlights were already covered. They were the district manager and application process, the investigation that was conducted in connection with the qualification. The only other item I had that you have it all in our report, but the only other item, we have an open public records request. I'm helping out Becky processing that because I sent out emails to the board, and I just have to have a conversation actually with Mr. Moreno to talk him through it, and assuming that he doesn't have any responsive documents, then I'll provide Becky a written response. So it's just out there. I realize it's taking some time, but just everybody's pretty bogged down. So we'll get that resolved. And mailboxes, if you want to see the U.S. Postal Service's federal response, basically they got nothing. In other words, really now we've scratched the bottom of the bucket in terms of finding out who built the mailboxes. My view is that even if they had had a bunch of these records 20 years ago, they don't have them anymore. So we are in the status quo in terms of how we're going to figure out how to refurbish those. And that's all I have unless there are any questions. I'm sorry.
We're toward the end of the meeting. Do we have any comment from the board supervisors to make any comment? Oh, yeah.
What Stephen said, is that we were asking if you
No, I don't have a comment to it. Good. Sorry.
I have a question for you. See where we are reference to the election.
So it sounds like the question is about the current election? Sure. So as you know, the only issue that has arisen has to do with qualification, right? So we have a memo that explains what it takes. Essentially, you get your qualification papers in within a certain time frame during a certain number of days. And if we can figure out that that was done, that is the extent of an investigation that we can conduct for the board, right? Remember, this is for everybody. If there's any issue related to an individual, whether it's a voter or a candidate, then that requires individual legal assistance, meaning not us, not John or I. It should be another firm, someplace who is not conflicted with us. If we received a lawsuit or a claim, then we would just gather up the same investigation report. We would definitely provide that, and I suppose we would ask internally about anybody else who is in controversy. But the long story short is that the way this generally gets resolved, and the reason it works out is that there has to be somebody who has enough time, money, and interest to file a lawsuit. Somebody who has to start a legal claim, and because not everybody does, then it works out. And so you know that if there's a legal claim, it has something to do with us. The court is the one who will demand records, emails, testimony, all that. It gets complicated and time-consuming and expensive. So right now we have an elected supervisor, and so if there's a dispute about the election, again, I can only counsel the board collectively, rather than to say if there's anybody who's got an issue, get an attorney. Not us, unfortunately. It's got to be somebody else, somebody who's not representing the board at the same time.
So see, right now, the way it worked out is Mr. Cortez will be sworn in next meeting, and he says that I want to proceed, you need to find his own legal advice.
That's exactly it. I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
Yeah, we went through this issue in 2018 that whenever we discovered the fake names and the fake ballots and all that stuff, then two individuals came up here and demanded for Central County to fix that because it wasn't in our charter to take absentee ballots. And the board told them, you're gonna have to do that on your own. We can't do that. And then you know what? They couldn't do it because it takes this. And then that's why as citizens, we fought the process to get it fixed. Because like I said, the problem is not who it is, it's the process that needs to be fixed. Because the same thing could have hurt any one of us. That's why I've stated for a long time, this landowner election needs to be changed. It needs to go to supervisor of elections, one person, one vote. We get out of this, and then if you want to win your position, you got to go out, campaign, and get people to vote for you. Because this landowner has been rigged for 20 years. We proved it in 2018. The information is right there. If anybody here wants to see it, the Attorney General said you cannot take absentee ballots. That was proven. And now here we are now questioning a process. So the process is the problem. And then who's handling the process? That's why I've said before, even before this issue arose, I said 2 meetings ago, people from Central County should not be handling this no way, shape, or form. And now here we are in the problem. So this was already pretty much foreseen. I didn't expect it to end up like this, but here we are. That's why I say the board needs to think about even changing our process and trying to go to one person, one vote, everybody general, and we could still stay within the 298, because I asked John that question, and he says that we can. We just they have to go through legislation, or through legislators to do that. And I think that's going to be the most fair election for this community, by far, and get away from all these problems, because this is going to turn into a lawsuit that's going to cost everybody in here. And I hate to see people get caught in the middle of this mess, because, I mean, somebody is responsible for it. Hey, we don't want to have to point the finger, but we have to fix the process. You know? Okay. So.
I want to ask a question here, Steve. Even though that he put his application after the expiration date was over,
They have to find it out.
Right. We'll take a lawsuit to make somebody provide a swear, written statement or testimony, and that's what we do. And just the fact that John and I would be on the other side of it, so that would be very sad. That's what it would take. Outside of us.
I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna speak to my attorney and see what we do from here.
Okay, do we have any more questions for the attorney?
No.
If not, let's go ahead and move forward with the board supervisor report. Ms. Song? Any comments?
Comments?
Yeah, comments.
Oh,
The report?
no, I don't think I really had anything to bring further. One thing, I was gonna ask Becca about, some of the pumping units. But anyway, oh no, it's for the supervisor report. I just had a question about the power units, but we're gonna get on.
Sorry. Because one of the questions is that I know whenever I got the pump logs, and I went from 2023 to 2024, 5 or 6 of the pumps out of the 10 did not have hours on them. So I spoke with Becca and I asked her, you know, why is there no hours? Because the thing is that for these things to be maintenance, you got to know how many hours are on them. So I seen that prior to her, there was nothing there, and then even whenever she was there's no hours. And then the next question is, whenever it comes into the service intervals of these pumps, how do you know when to service these motors at 500 hours if there's no hour meter? So that was my main concern, because I heard from one of the employees that some of the pumps are kind of bad, and some of the ones that are kind of bad are the ones that don't have the hour meters. And I know that you said that that was a problem before you was there, and like I said, you're the captain of the ship now, you're a problem. So then, did everything get hour meters put on them now?
Okay, yeah. Well, I ordered them, they came in, and Rene installed one. There's a mechanical one to go with the diesel one.
Yeah.
The diesel engine. So
Okay.
he's
Working on it?
He's working on it, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
we did
one-
get that.
So one of the things that I did, I gave her a sheet that I use for my pump log. So I was telling her that even though you don't have an hour meter, if you have a date and at least the time you turn it on, at the end of the week, if it runs, you know, from 12 in the morning to 12 in the morning, the next is 24 hours. And that's something that needs to be done if the hour meters go out, because it happens all the time from vibrations, digital, whatever, if they're manual. So that's something that I did provide her, was a sheet that I use, and for them to use that, so then now we can keep track of that, because what happens is whenever something happens to a motor, then we say, okay, what happened to it? And you see there's not an hour meter on it, so then the thing goes back to, from 2023 to 2024, within a year, how many times is that pump serviced, and how do you know when to service it? And then that becomes a maintenance issue that could become costly if the motor blows up.
Do we have like any kind of log for those motors even before
Yeah.
or after?
Well, yeah, there's a log, but the thing is, like I asked them, you know, within them 2 years, how do you know whenever you ran 500 hours? So I know that one of the employees did make a comment saying, well, 1 and 2, if we're running number 3, all 3 of them are running, but the problem is pump station 1 goes down, then you have, because this is not available, so then you don't know, and that's not a way to look at it. The only thing you kind of do is keep up with the fuel and stuff like that. So that was my main concern, because if you know, there could be a maintenance log, but the thing is, how do you know you're doing it properly if you're not even putting the time that you crank it? So if you crank it at 12, put 12, use military time to where they don't confuse, you know, morning and stuff, 24 hours, 12 hours, whatever. So, you know, that's something that I kind of caught, and I brought it to her attention, and that's why I was asking if the meters has been put on, because that's something that's been going on for a while now, and it's still continuing on. So.
Okay, that's a good idea. Any more comments?
The other thing I would like to state to the community is Montura has grown over the past 4 years. We've had 2 managers that have overseen Central County Water Control District. And within that time, our budget of what we've increased of last year of the $100 and this year, keeping it the same. I think the board is very advocacy for its community. They do fight for keeping us and getting our rights from Hendry County here as Central County Water Control District. Every landowner meeting, I like to address this issue when it comes to our taxes. Hendry County did agree, after having numerous board members from CCWCD bringing it to their attention, of the tax increase, the county agreed to keep the rollback and not increase taxes. After doing some thorough investigations of other different water control districts, we do a little bit more than other water districts do within our capacity. If you look at LaBelle, the city of LaBelle and the city of Clewiston's budget, we're nowhere near that, but we do offer some of those services in which you pay within your taxes. I also reached out to the mosquito control districts as well as the mosquito company that does come out here and spray. If you take the time to look at the taxes you paid and look at the resources in which you're provided, we're not getting the services that we were promised by Hendry County. And that is because we're suffering. We as a water control district cannot fight Hendry County in giving us back some of that taxes or for that taxes to stay here. Meaning as in fire, rescue, law enforcement, EMT, and the list goes on. They paid $3.4 million to Waste Connections this last year. And in their contract, if you ask Hendry County Board of Commissioners for the contract, in that contract, they're promised to pick up bulk pickup twice a month, the first Monday and the second Monday of each month, as well as a garbage bin. This garbage bin has been charged to us if you lived here in 2017. They increased your taxes due to garbage bin being presented to the district of CCWCD, and none of you got that trash can. What I'm saying is Hendry County is taking taxes away from you for items that they're not providing, and us as the governing board of CCWCD, we can't fight that without your guys' participation. Regardless of our viewpoints personally, but as a community, we have to take this fight to the county. As we did take it to them as a board, as I did as the chair, I presented to the Board of Commissioners that we cannot keep increasing taxes if we're not giving the services in which we need. So I just want you guys to relay that message to a lot of your friends and family and also neighbors to look at your taxes in great detail of what services and contracts that the county Board of Commissioners have agreed to. And what companies are promising to come here to Montour and not providing us a service, just like the sand mine. The county commissioner who's over that district wasn't present at that meeting, but with that being said, the other county commissioner within Montour, he was. So I just want to keep you guys all informed on that the county is still continuously using some of our tax money that they did charge us years ago as well as last year, and we still haven't been provided any of those services. Everything that they do is public record like it is for us, so if you do request it or you go to a public forum or meeting, they can be more than likely to present it to you. So being this our regular meeting, I always say this at the end of the year, we do need to start looking into a different direction. The water control district for CCWCD is not working. The capacity in which Montour is growing, the service calls, and the people who are moving here and developing beautiful homes, we either have to turn into some kind of township or city. Now, when people hear that, they say, oh, why are we turning into a city or anything like that? Please keep this in mind. The city of Davie is still rural. They still have horses, cows, pigs, sheep, chicken, and they have all of the amenities that they pay for in their taxes. So don't get confused and don't get scared when you hear city or town. You, as the constituent, have the legal right to make how you want the charter to be. So if you want it to be a city or a town, you get to appoint how you want the governing board. You don't want a mayor, that's fine. You get to appoint that when the charter is being done. As CCWCD has pushed this objective to moving us into a different direction, we have to have a community group that's also a part of it for feedback and concerns. Some of the people who are on that group and some of the people that did concern, they don't want to move away from the rule. So I did take some of the charter from the city of Davie, and if you look in their charter, there's no commercialization in certain areas, minus from where the highway is, but they still have a lot of rural area. So I do want to keep all of that in mind, that if we don't do something and start moving in that direction, we're going to keep paying more and more taxes to the county and not being provided any amenities. You can look at previous meetings and meetings before. The county's gonna keep pushing their objective, keep increasing their taxes, and keep doing what they want to do, and we're gonna keep being abused by Hendry County. So just keep that in mind. I always say this every year, but I wanna make sure it's on the record as well, that you guys have to look at that and in unison as a community.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Mr. Santana?
No, I have nothing to say.
Okay, on my end, I'm good with, what we have discussed today, so, the meeting will be adjourned. Thank you for being, on the meeting.
Okay. Sending it to each other. Not many people do that. I didn't think they would be doing it at things like that. So I say that yeah, they do. I don't think they're not. Okay, thank you. All right.
They come up to me, they tell me,
So as he said, in 2 months, he's gonna make sure she's not there. But that's okay. So what we do about that? What we do about people like that? It's not dirty. It's not social media. I'm talking about people. There were people that were willing to come today in this meeting, but I told them, she told me, she said, just leave it alone. You know?
Better not disturb us.